Today on Dr. Phil, a mother
She drove high on heroin with your child in the car.
claims she's 6 months clean.
She slurs her words.
I've admitted that I made mistakes.
Do you feel safe with your child being with her like that?
Is her husband
We are as much here to wake him up as we are his wife.
being deceived?
I just want the truth. Are you sober for the last 6 months? Today's going to be a changing day in your life. You've never had anybody working harder to bring you to the threshold of change than right now. Thank you. Well, Megan says that 6 months ago, she was shocked to discover that her sister-in-law, Lindsay, was hiding a dark secret, and her brother, Chad, was covering up for her. Now, all was exposed after Lindsay was arrested for allegedly being high on heroin and crashing her SUV into multiple cars. But Lindsay wasn't alone. Her infant son was in the back seat. Now, Megan says it was only then that Chad finally came clean about Lindsay's long-term drug addiction, which includes overdosing while 3 months pregnant and the baby being born addicted.
I've told you this before. It's a disease, but you make bad choices out of it.
I had no idea that my sister-in-law, Lindsay, was a drug addict until she almost killed my nephew and herself driving high. Lindsay was in a local grocery store in the bathroom shooting up with my 9-month-old nephew present. Then she put my nephew in the backseat of the car and took off high. As Lindsay was driving, she was sideswiping, hitting multiple vehicles, and then crashing. Officers on the scene searched Lindsay. Heroin and syringes were falling out of her underwear. At the hospital, they drug tested Lindsay and found heroin in her system. When I found out, I was furious. I was ready to hurt her. Lindsay was put in jail for 3 weeks. Within a few days of Lindsay being released, she was rearrested for heroin possession again. I was beyond livid. She didn't even try to reach out to see her son. It was very clear that drugs were more important than anything in her life.
It's not me who's choosing to do those things. It's the addict in me.
After her arrest, all her secrets of drug use came out. Chad revealed to me that Lindsay OD'd twice while pregnant with my nephew. One time, her mother ended up having to do CPR on her and call the ambulance. Then the news got even worse. I found out that my nephew was born addicted to heroin. Lindsay and Chad told the family that he had to stay in the NICU because he was struggling feeding. It was a complete lie. He was in the NICU because he was going through withdrawals from being born addicted to drugs. I was disgusted, utterly disgusted. I had hate in my heart for her. Knowing everything that Lindsay has done makes me angry and sick to my stomach.
Now, Megan thought that with her sister-in-law behind bars and divorce papers filed, Lindsay was in her brother's rearview mirror once and for all. Then, just 1 month ago, after everything that happened and fresh out of jail, Megan says Chad allowed his wife to move back in. Now, Chad's mother, Molly, says she doesn't know what's worse, a lying drug addict daughter-in-law or a son who is protecting her.
Lindsay is just a hot mess. Chad is completely blinded by his love for Lindsay and is not thinking clearly at all. I'm pissed off because she's not clean and he's turning a blind eye to this whole situation. When Chad allowed Lindsay back in his house, I about lost my mind. I was beyond infuriated.
Immediately, I called Chad and told him that he was the dumbest, smartest person that I know.
I thought to myself, what is with her? What does she have that makes him keep going back? Chad is being reckless because he's putting Lindsay for the safety of his own son. Chad goes to work and leaves my grandson in Lindsay's care all day. It worries me, it scares me. I don't trust her alone with him. Without a doubt, Lindsay is a danger to my grandson.
I know I put him in those dangerous situations, but that was due out of a bad decision and choice I made from the addiction.
I cannot stand when Lindsay tells me every time I would never hurt my son, and yet she's almost hurt him 3 times. The baby wasn't enough to make her stop back then. What's going to make a change now?
Your family should focus on helping me rather than turning their backs on me.
Chad is in such denial.
My brother is making a huge mistake.
Okay, you say Chad's making a huge mistake here. Do you think he is just in complete denial here that his wife's not a danger to this child?
I 100% agree with that statement.
Do you think she's sober?
No.
How do you know?
Her actions. She slurs her words. She's, what, 60 pounds? She looks awful.
Tell me about Chad. What made him let her back into this child's life?
We need to know that question as well. I have no idea.
Let me tell you what stakes we're playing for. Chad's not listening right now. He will be in a second because I'm going to bring him out here. If he knowingly continues to allow this child to be in harm's way, to be in her presence, to be under her supervision, when in fact he knows that she's a heroin addict, when he knows that she has wrecked a car with this child in the back seat, he can be in denial all he wants, but that's child abuse, and you need to understand, I am a mandated reporter.
Right.
That's why we're here.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Right.
And I will report this if, in my opinion,
Absolutely.
she still is impaired and he is not reacting to it. So you've got to understand,
We do.
when you have to support me here.
Oh, 100%.
Because I intend to wake him up.
Oh, please do.
Negligence, I mean, let's look at the definition so you know. It's failing to protect a child in his or her care from inflicted physical, mental, or sexual injury caused by the acts of another. And if he allows her to put that child in danger physically, mentally, sexually, any way, then he's as guilty as she is.
Yes.
So we can't let that happen. Now, as I said, Chad hasn't been listening, and before he comes out, I want to make it clear that we are as much here to wake him up as we are Lindsay. Chad told us that his wife is the love of his life and deserved not only a second chance, but his family's respect. Take a look.
I had no idea that my wife, Lindsay, was a heroin addict until she overdosed when she was 3 months pregnant with our son. I get the whole past thing, but you can't just forget like it never happened, because it did happen.
I'll never forget.
And then literally 24 hours, she did it again. I was absolutely furious. We just talked about how you did it last night, and you go ahead and do it again. Lindsay then revealed to me that she has a serious drug problem. I was at a crossroads. I couldn't just leave my wife. I had to help her. I took Lindsay back and forth to all those counseling meetings and all the drug counselors. Then my son was born addicted to heroin. This had to be rock bottom for Lindsay, because how can you get any worse than this? I'm here helping you. After everything that you've done
Right.
over and over again, I'm still here. Then one morning I woke up, my car was gone and my debit card was gone on my wallet. My wife was gone. Then I get a phone call that you don't want to get. My wife was in a 3-car accident while she was high on heroin with my 8-month-old son in the backseat of the car. My family was just ripped apart at that point. The day after the accident, I filed for order of protection against her. I didn't speak to her for about 4 months after the arrest. 2 months ago, I dropped the order of protection against my wife. She had no place to live. I wasn't going to let the mother of my child roam the streets at all. I'm proud to say that she's exactly 6 months clean at this time. I know she's on the path to recovery. Lindsay deserves a second chance. My family needs to have more compassion for Lindsay, and they need to show her some respect. I'm a grown man, and at the end of the day, this is my family.
Your position is that clearly she's made some mistakes in the past, right?
Devastating mistakes.
And when she drove high on heroin with your child in the car, you said enough's enough, too much is too much. That was too much.
I had to step in as the father of my child.
Now, you knew she had been using before that, right?
Correct.
You say, and this is a quote, Lindsay is not a danger to my son anymore, and you leave your son alone at night with her while you work.
Correct.
Okay, so you trust her that much?
I do.
All right. Now, if you're wrong, the stakes could be pretty high, because you've seen what happened when she drove with your son.
Absolutely.
Do you feel a divided loyalty here?
I'm torn from every angle. I'm the husband, I am the father of my child, and she's really put everyone in a bad position, especially me.
There is no divided loyalty here.
Okay.
You have 100% duty, 100% undivided loyalty to your child. There is no division of loyalty here. And you can say, well, but I'm married to her and this is my child. No, the child doesn't have a voice. The child doesn't have anyone to protect them. And it is criminal not to. So you think she's sober right now, 6 months sober right now?
I do.
You truly believe that?
I do.
Were you not with us at the airport?
Or yesterday? Like, I was scared for Caden to be with her, just running into you.
I put together just a few clips of our working with her. They're very brief, that I just want to share with you. Let's take a look.
I am, for once, taking my sobriety completely serious. I have overdosed 4 times in the past 6 years. I've admitted that I have made mistakes. I would always leave rehab feeling as if nothing was accomplished.
You feel safe with your son with that?
I feel embarrassed.
There you go. But you feel safe with your child being with her like that?
I've always put my son first.
You did
getting to my
until you let
question.
her back into the home.
Do you feel
Well,
safe
you
with your
did.
son being...
Okay, hold on. Wait
Sorry.
a minute. Yeah, let the man speak.
Sorry.
You want to be right or you want to be happy? Talk to me.
It's embarrassing to watch.
That speaks for itself, right?
It does.
Now, all right, we have to take a break. Now, Megan and Molly say that Chad has a pattern of being manipulated by troubled women. We'll talk about that after the break. Plus, I brought reinforcements. After the break, I'm going to introduce this family to someone I believe can help me turn this whole family drama around today and moving forward. We'll be right back.
Lindsay constantly claims that she's clean, but Lindsay saying that she's 6 months sober is Lindsay is telling my brother everything he wants to hear. She's a master manipulator. I wouldn't put it past Lindsay that she's still getting high right underneath my brother's nose. Lindsay is using my brother. She's burned every other bridge. She has nowhere else to go. Nobody else wants to deal with her.
Tomorrow on Dr. Phil.
She abandoned her daughter to go and live with her girlfriend in a car. I put up shades to keep people from watching us sleep.
Where is she going?
You have a tracking device on her car.
What is she doing?
The device shows some really radical behavior.
And what would happen if her parents said,
We're not willing to take care of your child anymore. Now what are you going to do?
I guess I've got my child living in a car with me and my girlfriend.
that's tomorrow.
Chad leads with his heart and not with his head.
He treats women like queens, and in return, they all over him. And they take advantage of him and then break his heart. And Lindsay's just doing the same thing. Chad gives Lindsay way too much.
I believe that all this stems from Chad being lonely and missing his family unit. In Chad's mind, I think he's trying to save Lindsay, but in the process, he's losing himself.
Now, I'd like to add my dear personal friend and world-renowned life coach, Mike Baer, to this conversation. Coach Mike is a legitimate change agent in people's lives in a really hands-on way. He can truly help anyone get from where they are today to where they want to be in every aspect of their lives. And I'm proud to call him friend and to have him part of the Dr. Phil team. And I'm also proud to announce that he has written a new book called Best Self, Be You, Only Better. And I consider this book to be a how-to manual to maximize your potential by discovering the best person that you can be. And I had to make a decision about when and where I wanted to announce this book. And I chose this show, this story, and your life to do this because you deserve what Mike brings to the table. Take a look.
My name is Mike Baer, but people call me Coach Mike. My calling is helping people find the freedom to be their best self.
He has experience, he's got credentials, he knows what he's doing, he has a whole team of life coaches. He works with everything from A-list celebrities to everyday folks.
The book, Best Self, Be You, Only Better, is a self-help book. This book is the last 15 years of all the magic I've been doing with my clients, and I'm just thrilled to be able to help other people. I am so excited about this book, and I'm immensely grateful and honored that Dr. Phil did the foreword for Best Self.
Coach Mike is a true professional, and Best Self is his Bible. It is the kind of book that leaves you significantly better than it found you. Within these pages, Mike will be your life coach, and along the journey, he will be your leader through a series of thoughtful and provocative questions as you examine every aspect of your life on your path to your best self.
I'm so humbled by the response to this book, and I hope that I can help everyone become their best self. I love what I do because I think seeing people change is remarkable.
Why did you write this book? Other than I talked you into it. I did, because I wanted him to share it with everybody.
Best Self is about helping people identify their problems, break free of their barriers, and get the life they want and deserve. And I was just doing it on a one-on-one basis with folks, and to be able to now have everything that I've done with people one-on-one in this book will allow me to help millions of people be their best selves. I'm your life coach in the book. And so by the end of the book, you'll be your own life coach. Because the goal is eventually to find that coach within and not need someone outside of yourself to help you.
Right, but you start out being their coach because I've read this. It's very action-oriented, and I've actually, you can see I've kind of marked this up a fair amount. What you do in here is you identify action steps, because think about it, guys. When you want to change, the first thing you do is you sit down and you go, well, where do I start? Willpower is a myth, right? It's not about willpower. It's not about emotion.
Willpower is a myth. You need the right tools, and we all have blind spots. And so what Best Self does is it helps you find your blind spots so you can really live the life you deserve.
You break the self down into two different parts, and this is what I want you to really listen to. You say there is a best self and another kind of self. Talk about that.
So I believe everyone at an authentic level is their best self. A best self is not codependent. A best self is not negative. A best self is pure, loving, honest, how we were created by God and put on this earth. That is our best self. Our anti-self is a story we've created over time, and we start to get characteristics of that. So for Chad, there's a codependent version of Chad that's getting in the way of his best self.
It starts with honesty, right?
You have to be honest to be your best self. I think the first step in what you say about honesty is how do we get you realigned with being your best self? Because that needs to start. We don't create relapses. We can't control what people do, and we can't change other people. We can only do that for ourselves.
There are 7 spheres that he talks about here. And Mike, when you look at these right now, the things that you and I talked about is you're talking about the relationship sphere and you're talking about the personal sphere. Because right now, you're not being honest in either of those 2 spheres, correct?
Chad's not being honest in either of those 2 spheres.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
And it's hard because why?
Through sickness and in health, when I said my vow. And it's really hard.
You know, what do we always say? Early intervention. That's the important thing, right? It's so important, early intervention. That's why you talk so much about honesty. Best self starts with being honest with yourself, because you can't change it if you don't tell yourself the truth.
You can't change it, and there's nowhere to go. You know, if we're not starting our foundation with being honest about ourselves and the people that are around us, the coaching session's done. Right. Because there's nowhere to go.
Lindsay insists that she is sober. And is Chad really willing to reclaim his best self, stop living in denial, and stand up to his wife in order to protect his son? That's all about living your best self. That's why I said this book was written with Chad in mind. So we're going to find out what happens after the break.
My husband's whole family doesn't give me the support that I need to fully recover. They are constantly criticizing me, judging me. They don't understand what I'm going through at all.
And later,
You have sitting in front of you someone that's been in recovery for so long. And did you say it's about choice?
But Chad, you gotta understand, I'm lucky because everyone did not enable me. And what you're doing is you're enabling your life right now, and it's making it worse.
When she moved back in the house, I told Lindsay that you got to prove yourself. There were some guidelines that she had to follow. She has to be 100% sober. I will do a surprise search of her belongings, her purse, coat, Lindsay's phone, whatever it may be. Just she needs to understand that she can't be hiding anything. Lindsay cannot even drink alcohol in this house. My guard is up more than ever, but I refuse to give up on my wife because she is the love of my life.
well, Chad's mother, Molly, and sister Megan say that his wife, Lindsay, is a real danger to his son, and they cannot believe that he is choosing his lying, drug-addicted wife over the safety of his little boy. Take a look.
I am a recovering drug addict. I am currently 6 months sober. I am proud of myself, but my husband's whole family doesn't give me that support that I need to fully recover from heroin. When I say it's a disease, they don't want to hear it. They're like, no, it's not. It's a choice. They are constantly criticizing me, judging me. They don't understand what I'm going through at all. No. I didn't want to keep my addiction a secret from Chad. He accepted me at that point, and he said, I will be here to help you. I've admitted that I have made mistakes, and I have owned that. When I was 3 months pregnant, I relapsed. I overdosed, yes. It's such a selfish thing to do. The day of the car accident, I definitely was having a mental breakdown. My addiction took over, and I shut up. As I was driving home, there was an accident. My 8-month-old son, he was in the back seat.
Did you cause the accident?
I'm on the fence about it. Whatever happened with our situation, they just pinned it on me because they found drugs. After I was released from jail, I realized relapse is not an option for me anymore. My son needs me, and immediately checked myself into a 30-day treatment center. I completed 90 meetings in 90 days. Chad's family has never acknowledged my sobriety. They just bring up all the nasty things I've done.
Is she doing drugs now?
Not that I know of.
What explains her condition in these interviews?
I have no idea. All I know is that she does get medication for other things, whether it be anxiety. That's what she's claiming.
What do you think she hopes to get from being here?
I know she wants to get better. She wants to...
Well, if she's 6 months sober, what is it she needs to change?
She needs to be a better person, first and foremost. Be a better wife, be a better mother. She's got her work cut out for her.
You said she's hanging out with not so good of people?
I've always said that. I've always said
What's
that.
wrong with these people?
She thinks that they're friends, and I can smell a bad person from a mile away. And
she's getting ready to come out here, and we're going to talk to her. And you have to decide whether being straight with her and holding her feet to the fire and getting to the truth is betraying her or helping her. I want to know where you stand before she comes out here.
I don't think that doesn't look like she's sober right now.
Come on, the whole time, not just right now, the whole time she's been back in that house, not just right now. Be 100% honest, Chad, so we can work through this.
No, listen, I understand.
Is it painful to believe that she's not sober?
Listen.
So could it be that you're avoiding your pain, and that's why you don't want to get honest?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Let me tell you, every situation needs a hero, and the hero here is you being your best self. That's your hero.
And once we figure out what the pain is for you, it's not about her. That's your pain. You're carrying a lot of pain.
Got the weight of the world. It's on my shoulders, man. And it's hard. It's really hard. Because
So
I'm getting pulled from every angle. I got my son, which is right there in the middle. I have my wife, who I said vows to through sickness and health. I have my family. I have her family.
And what I can say is, and I feel for you.
I'm in the middle of everything.
The difference is she gets to get high over her pain, and you're not.
You're suffering.
Yeah, you're suffering.
Next, Lindsay is here and insists she is 100% sober. She says if Chad's family were more educated about addiction, they wouldn't be so opinionated and critical of her. We're going to meet her after the break. I just want the truth. Are you sober for the last 6 months?
Lindsay's not being completely truthful about her drug addiction. She's conveniently omitting the fact that she's not just addicted to heroin. I believe she's also addicted to Xanax and Adderall. When Lindsay got in that car accident, on the officer's body cam, she admitted that she also did other drugs, meaning Adderall and Xanax. I was told that Lindsay was kicked out of a family member's house for possibly stealing medicine, Xanax, whatever they thought it was. Lindsay really needs to be honest with herself. Listen up, Buttercup. It's time to get it together.
Well, Lindsay, thanks for joining us. I want to know, do you want help for you and your family? And if so, how can I help you?
I need help with learning how to cope with my triggers when it comes to my addiction, and learning how to tell myself and be honest with the people that are close to me. Keep that open communication. I sometimes feel so judged based upon things or conversations I have with people, so I'm scared to reach out because I don't want to be looked down on.
I think you're fighting for your life and your family, and forget about those people. My dad used to say you wouldn't worry so much about what people thought of you if you knew how seldom they did. I mean, people aren't sitting around thinking about you every minute of every day. And as for me, I'm the least judgmental person you'll ever meet. The only thing I judge is people that lie to me. They lie to me. I have really short conversations because I put their butt right back in the car and send them right back to the airport. I just want the truth. Are you sober for the last 6 months?
For the last 6 months, no. I have struggled with prescription medication.
You've been abusing your prescriptions.
Abusing it, yes, correct. In the past, I was addicted and prescribed to Xanax. And that's what I was, in the past 6 months, I would have a couple of relapses.
On what?
On Xanax.
What about your relationship with Chad has made you feel like you couldn't be honest with him about it?
I don't know, I just feel like I'm just down here, he's up here. I don't know how to explain it. I feel like I'm always judged due to my past or things I've been through or been exposed to. And I'm just scared to open up more because I don't want to be looked at in any sort of way. I want to be realized and recognized for who I really am. So I want to give that a chance.
But your addict mind will justify things too, like you've taken care of your son when you're on Xanax.
Right.
And she's lied to you about it. So you now know the truth.
Yes.
And I wonder if you've really looked at yourself. I played a few clips for Chad that we've looked at. I want to play them for you now and see what you think about them.
I am, for once, taking my sobriety completely serious. I have overdosed 4 times in the past 6 years. I've admitted that I have made mistakes. I would always leave rehab feeling as if nothing was accomplished.
What do you think?
It just blows my mind how much control it has, and I can't recognize it until it's in my face like that.
I think you know what you're doing.
Right.
And I don't think you're that. I'm recovering 16 and a half years, so I know all about sobriety, all about recovery. It's not about what the addict does to you, it's about what choices you make. You can choose to be in recovery, or you can choose not to be in recovery. You know what you're doing. And the sad thing about the situation, which hopefully we can change, is because of your lack of honesty, that makes your husband less honest. Because what happens when you're in a relationship with someone who's addicted, you start to carry on those characteristics. It's just a dysfunctional setting for your son.
You said you've been in recovery for 17 years?
Yeah.
Here you have sitting in front of you someone that's been in recovery for so long. And did you say it's about choice? Choosing?
But Chad, you gotta understand, I'm lucky because everyone did not enable me. And what you're doing is you're enabling your wife right now, and it's making it worse.
We've got to take a break, and you didn't hear before you came out, but Coach Mike has written a book called Best Self, Be You Only Better, and he talks about there being two selves, your best self and your anti-self. What he's saying is we've got two anti-selves over here enabling each other and trying to raise a child in the middle of it, and that's not okay, and it has to change. Lindsay claims the trauma from her dark and abusive past plays a huge role in her addiction. I have no doubt that it does, but what do you do about it other than self-medicate? We'll talk about that after the break.
Chad, you're obviously a nice guy. You seem lovable, likable. I can see why Lindsay would want to be with you, especially if she wants to get away with using drugs.
I know I'm lost.
My life has played a huge role in my addiction.
Lindsay told me she had a dark past. That was devastating.
When I was 16, I was raised. An ex-boyfriend of mine who was very abusive. He started forcing me to do heroin. When I was sleeping one night, he actually injected me, and that was it from there.
Lindsay always blamed past relationships for her addiction. I don't buy that at all.
When my wife told me about her dark past, it really did make me fall in love with her even more because she was being so honest with me.
All right, we're back with Chad, and he says despite Lindsay putting their son's life in jeopardy and using heroin behind his back, she is still the love of his life, and he says she deserves a second chance. And I told him before you came out here that I agree with that. I told you I'm not trying to get you to fragment this family. And I had asked Coach Mike to be here today because he's written a new book, and I will shamelessly plug this new book because I think it is absolutely great. It does not assume that you have a mental illness. It just assumes you have goals and objectives that you want to achieve, and it talks about action plans. Coach Mike, but what do you think he needs to do to behave his way to success here?
So, I mean, operating from a place of honesty and operating out of what's best for your son, what do you believe your first step is?
It's my son.
Your son?
Every step of the way.
Okay. And so
how old is he now?
He's 14 months, just over one.
So he has no advocate other than you guys. I mean, you have to speak for him. He doesn't have his own voice. I mean, he can't stand up for himself. He can't say, you two settle down, straighten up, put me first. Mm-hmm. So you need to say it for him to yourself. I'm sorry, go ahead.
You said it very well.
Thank you.
Chad, you're obviously a nice guy. You seem lovable, likable. I can see why Lindsay would want to be with you, especially if she wants to get away with using drugs. First things first is we have to help figure out who are you and how do we start to get you back to being the man that you are. And it's going to take work.
I agree. I feel like I lose myself. I know I'm lost. Not that I'm completely lost, it's just I lose versions of the best self. I do.
And what are you willing to do to be your best self?
Whatever it takes.
That's not easy. No. But, all right, we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back and talk about Lindsay. We'll be right back. son deserves, your husband deserves, for you once and for all to make a serious commitment to get yourself right one time and do it to criteria. Megan, Molly, you guys have really been change agents here, and you're very supportive of this child. You're really supportive of Lindsay and Chad. You're just not supportive of fiction. You are the opposite of enablers, and that's why you feel judged, because they don't buy into the story. And God bless you for reaching out and getting here.
Thanks for having us.
I really mean that. And Lindsay, this is not a one-dimensional situation. I think this is a self-medication thing for you, and people oftentimes start things for one reason and continue them for another. I think you may have started drugs for one reason, now you do them for a lot of different reasons, but you clearly, to me, are not sober, you're very fragile, and I think that you deserve, and your son deserves, your husband deserves, for you once and for all to make a serious commitment to get yourself right one time and do it to criteria. And towards that end, I have asked Laura Martinez to join us today. She is the director for Origins Behavioral Healthcare, and I consider Origins to be the nation's leading dual diagnosis treatment center, and they specialize in the treatment of addiction and trauma and other psychological disorders. So, Laura, thank you for being here. I appreciate you being here. Can you help her?
We definitely can help her. For Lindsay, it's imperative that we work on the addiction issues, but most importantly, the trauma underneath the addiction. We can give you the best possible outcome to true long-term sobriety.
So I am prepared to offer this program to you as our gift to your family if you're willing to lean into it and commit yourself to it in an unmitigated fashion. Are you willing to do that? I am prepared to offer this program to you as our gift to your family if you're willing to lean into it and commit yourself to it in an unmitigated fashion. Are you willing to do that?
Yes, of course.
All right. Okay. And Chad, there are some things that you need to do in terms of working towards your best self. And, you know, Coach Mike, I'm going to suggest that you start with having him work through best self, be you only better. And then, if you can, get him a life coach from Cass Centers right here in LA, which is your treatment center and organization. So while she's gone doing what she needs to do, we can get him out of his anti-self and into his best self. Can we do that?
We can do that.
All right. Look, I want to thank my guests today. A special thanks to Origins Behavioral Healthcare, and a special thanks to Coach Mike Bayer. His book, Best Self, Be You Only Better, is available everywhere books are sold. And everyone in the audience is going home with a copy. So thank you, and we'll see you next time. Thanks so much, Chad. Thanks, man. Thanks so much. Go ahead, man. All right, thanks, guys.
On an all-new Dr. Phil.
I am the reincarnation of Pocahontas. I'm sharing her soul in my body.
Her parents claim their daughter.
They've seen you speaking in tongues.
is violent.
I just kind of pulled her over my shoulder, threw her, and then right in the eye.
And has issues.
This is how you showed up for work.
Please help my daughter.
You think I'm crazy? Are you sure that you guys aren't just delusional?
Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
Today is going to be a changing day in your life.
5, 4.
I am not giving up on you.
As one of the most famous women in early American history, Pocahontas is credited with helping struggling English settlers survive in the early 1600s. Although she died tragically at the age of 21, she remains a symbol of strength, a beacon of courage for women worldwide. So why am I telling you about Pocahontas? Well, my guest today, 24-year-old Ayanna, believes she is Pocahontas. More specifically, she believes that she is her reincarnation. But according to Ayanna, reincarnation has its drawbacks because being Pocahontas has contributed to her being homeless, unemployed, and the black sheep of her family. Now, Ayanna's parents, Robert and Robin, are gravely concerned and absolutely certain their daughter is mentally ill. Ayanna says that she has kept being the reincarnation of Pocahontas a secret from her parents, as she worries they'll think she's even more crazy than they already do. Take a look.
When I realized I was the reincarnation of Pocahontas, that opened the gateway to so much more spirituality, wilder than I ever imagined.
I woke up one morning and I just didn't feel the same. Like, I felt like Ayanna, but I felt like I was sharing myself with someone. I knew for sure that it was definitely Pocahontas. She is Powhatan Native American. She was born in 1596. I have her old memories, and then there's now. Her spirit definitely helps me get through my day-to-day life. I know secrets of the universe. I definitely am a portal for divine intervention. I have not told my parents about the Pocahontas reincarnation. They just know I wear the makeup.
These are energy points. And this is just like for my third eye.
I believe it's some bad energy following me. That's why I'm not working. That's why I don't have housing at the moment. So I can't keep moving forward and break this curse or whatever this demon is that's holding me back. My dad had me banned from his apartment. My father, Robert, thinks I need to be on medication. He believes I'm bipolar. I think my mom wants me on medication because my dad thinks so. I have a spiritual connection, not bipolar. I believe my dad is trying to turn me into a zombie because the medication would numb out my personality. It would numb out my vibe. Other people who love me need that. I think I'm just misunderstood. I get a little anxious or emotional like any normal human would. I use art and music as a form of therapy. Music is a way to speak what words can't say. That's where my music videos come into play. My dad will trigger me to a point of emotional breakdown, then say I need medication and call the police on me. My dad has choked me out because I called him an N-word because he was acting like one. My dad told a counselor that if my daughter doesn't control her outbursts, I'm a Vietnam War vet, so I could snap and kill her. My parents are more concerned about medicating me than providing me with actual resources to survive. I feel like a complete and total outcast because of this whole reincarnation. I wonder if they know who I really am. Some people do believe me, some people don't believe me about Pocahontas. I try not to care too much because I know the truth.
Okay, it's good to meet you.
Hi, it's nice to meet you too.
Now, tell me what you mean when you say you're the reincarnation.
Because Pocahontas was my 13th great grandmother, but her soul, I'm sharing her soul in my body.
So you can feel her presence in you.
Yeah.
And how do you discern that from some other presence or from just your own personality being one of courage and commitment and mission and all?
Because when my parents told me years ago that Pocahontas was my 13th grade grandmother, and it never meant a thing to me at all. But then I woke up November 1st, 2017, and it was there.
Take me through that moment. You woke up that morning, and what was different about that morning than every other morning?
I felt free, awake, empowered, spiritual. I felt like I had a purpose then.
Okay. But as you woke up that morning, you didn't wake up and say, I'm Pocahontas.
I didn't wake up and say I'm Pocahontas. I just woke up and was just like...
Something was different.
Yeah, it was like something's off, like this is strange.
And then you saw this picture, this drawing to the left, and that was when you realized that that's what was making you feel different.
That gave me the proof. Like, I had all the spiritual proof from it. Like, it was just so much going on. Pocahontas just decided to randomly be a thing of a trend, like with Donald Trump and the senator.
And you know that Donald Trump saying that about Senator Warren, who is a very good friend of mine, has been on the show several times, that he was just saying that as a derogatory thing.
Yeah,
he was just mocking her.
Yeah, he called her Pocahontas. I thought that was interesting.
You say that you understand the language, the Powhatan language.
Yeah.
Did you study that?
That's when I really got into it, yeah. And I didn't even know that it was a different name. I thought it was just the Powhatan language. It's actually Eastern Algonquian, or Algonquin. It has two different pronunciations. Okay, and how has this interfered with your life? You say you can't get a job, you can't keep a job, you can't keep a place to live, you can't. It's just interfered with your whole life. Yeah, it's like some kind of divine intervention that's just like pushing me to. I feel like that's how I got here. Like, I came all the way over here because my spirit told me to. I don't understand how this interferes with you having a job or a place to live. I mean, why do you not just go to... I believe as well. I'm sorry? I believe it's a curse following me or a demon or something from like a past life, because it doesn't make any sense. I want to live a normal life. I want to work. I want to open my own clothing store. I want to have my own career. I want to have good housing. I want to be stable. But when you go to work, do you tell everybody that you're a reincarnation of Pocahontas? No, not really. So what is it that gets you fired? Not entirely sure. I couldn't tell you. Not entirely sure. I guess it's just not meant for me to be in that specific place, because I'm a good worker. I'm hardworking. I'm dedicated. I'm reliable. I couldn't tell you. Well, okay. Ayanna insists that she's not mentally ill and claims her parents want to squash her free spirit by medicating her, turning her into a zombie, and just really killing her. Well, we're going to meet her parents after the break.
Ayanna right now is very violent. Ayanna had a temper tantrum and threw something against the wall and put that hole there.
Whatever's going on, it's getting worse. She thinks that she has been cursed by a demon. What do you say to that?
And later...
Oh, now it's a different story.
It's not a different story.
What do you mean it's not a different story?
Please help my daughter.
You think I'm crazy? Are you sure that you guys aren't just delusional?
Monday, she thought she summoned aliens.
You say you saw a half cat creature and a 6-foot-tall creature with black eyes.
Yeah.
Now she believes she is being electronically targeted.
You say they can project a hologram in your eye.
They do it from like a light behind you, and it goes through your head and through the optic nerve. It'll make you see anything that they want you to see.
Tell me who they are.
That's Monday. Then on Tuesday,
I started being abused sexually between the ages 4 and 5.
FLDS survivors.
Do you think that this abuse is still happening?
Yes, I do.
That's Tuesday.
My family has a generational curse on the family name. My family, my mom, my dad, and my grandmother all played with Ouija boards, but at different times. I feel like the Ouija boards have definitely cursed me in some kind of way. My mom and my grandma played with Ouija boards together before I was born, and they stopped when they felt like we should stop right now, something's not right. But I feel like by that time, a demon could have came through by then, or who knows what could have came through. My dad said he played with it long before he met my mom, and my family decided to tell me at the Christmas dinner table, and I snapped.
Well, Robert and Robin say their daughter, Ayanna, is mentally ill, violent, and out of control. Now, Robert says his daughter's behavior is getting worse, and Robin says her daughter is psychotic and needs to be medicated immediately before she winds up dead. Take a look.
My daughter's mentally ill. She needs help. She does need medication. She believes medication is poison, and that her dad and I are trying to kill her.
I have no idea why Ayanna thinks I want her dead. Ayanna had a temper tantrum and threw something against the wall and put that hole there. Ayanna right now is very hostile toward me. She's very violent. Somehow I say something to her that flipped a switch or a trigger.
Since she was 18, it seems to have accelerated. Whatever's going on, it's getting worse. I'd say in the past 3 years, she's becoming, I think, a little delusional. We had tornadoes in the area. She sent me a text saying that she went outside and she saw a funnel cloud and did some sort of dance, and she was scared because it was dangerous, but she had people to protect. I just responded, please stay inside when it's dangerous outside, and that really terrified me.
I believe she's imagining a number of things. She has changed from a sweet young lady to a complete opposite person.
She thinks that because I used a Ouija board 40 years ago, she thinks that she has been cursed by a demon. What do you say to that? Something terrible going to happen to her because Ayanna is impulsive. And I think she's going to wind up not just homeless, but dead.
Well, Anna's mother, Robin, is here. Her father, Robert, is joining us via Polycom. Your concern is that your daughter is mentally ill.
And her safety, yes.
And because of that, she's in harm's way, that she's either going to get in conflict with someone or engage someone in a way that they're going to react violently and she's going to get hurt.
Exactly.
Or killed. Robert, what's your position on this?
Well, I feel the same way. Ayanna has become very violent. She has fits of rages, madness, and she's just not stable.
Are you having fits of rage?
No, I'm pretty chill right now.
Well, right now, but are there times when you're getting very animated and angry and violent with anyone, with your parents or anyone else?
I've gotten violent with my dad before, yes.
Uh-huh.
But he's been violent with me before, so of course anybody would be on guard.
Did you punch this hole in the wall that we're looking at here?
No, that's why I think it's hilarious. He told me my sister did that.
You picked up an object, and out of a fit of rage, you threw it against the wall, and I heard that. You were the only person in the room.
No, I'm sorry. I'm just going to have to deny you on that one.
That's fine. You can deny it all you want.
Well, according to your parents, you're really irrational, and that if they give you advice that you twist it, that you explode at the mention of getting any kind of help because you don't think you need any kind of help.
I don't mind
that
counseling.
You hit yourself when you're angry and frustrated.
No.
That's not true?
No.
And
I don't know if it's a habit, but I have seen it.
And you believe that they're trying to poison you with meds and that you violently attacked Robert and that they think that you may be possessed by demons because they've seen you speaking in tongues.
Eastern, they see me speaking in tongues. Eastern Algonquin, that's the, okay. What I was saying was Kokoivri Apok, which means calm the devil.
Yeah.
What?
And that last year you punched Robert in the head while he was driving.
I punched him in the, what?
I was taking you to work. I just picked you up at the bus stop.
Where was I working?
Burger King.
I was working at Burger King in 2014. No, sir. No.
Yeah. You were talking about something, sounded funny, and I laughed, and then you decided to hit me with your fist, reach across and hit me on the side of, like so.
That doesn't even make any sense. You're gonna kill us both, so I'm gonna shut that down.
Yes, that's what I told you.
That doesn't even make any rational sense, though.
I know. That's why you're here. You're doing things that don't make rational sense.
According to your parents, in August of this year, you threw knives and punched him in the head.
Why would I throw a knife? I don't have aim.
Ayanna mentioned earlier in the show that there's something her parents don't know. They need to find out when we come back from the break.
I found this picture of Pocahontas on the internet, and I really wanted physical proof that I could be her. We have the same neck bone. We have the same nose shape. It's very intense pressure, knowing that you're reincarnated. People look at me like, what is she looking at? And I'm looking at them like, do you know who I am? I wear makeup for the spiritual boost, for the culture, and sometimes just to be at peace because it looks good. I definitely go to the store and I'll definitely do it for just like casual walks or something, just to bring awareness like, hey, this actually is a thing. People give me the best stares. They'll ask me, are you Catwoman? They'll ask, who are you today? Halloween came already, but Native American will never ever come out of their mouth. It makes me feel like humanity has turned into uncultured swines.
Okay, Robin and Robert both say their daughter, Ayanna, has a fascination with Pocahontas. What they don't know is just how far that fascination goes. So I want both of you to listen very carefully to what she has to say here.
I am the reincarnation of Pocahontas. Pocahontas is my 13th great-grandmother. My dad is related to her by blood, and my mother and grandmother on my mom's side are related to her through John Rolfe, her husband. I found this picture of Pocahontas on the internet, and I was already convinced spiritually that Pocahontas was there. I really wanted physical proof that I could be her. It just jumped out at me on Google. We have the same neck bone. We have the same nose shape, same cheekbones, the same ears. I was like, oh, well, this is real. If I go to the canal walk in my city and they're doing tours on the boats, I'll have flashbacks of men on the boat in red kind of shirts, sailing shirts, white pants, and black ship hats. And I'm just looking at normal people, and it'll just flash back and forth between reality and back then, and it's so weird. People looking at me like, what is she looking at? And I'm looking at them like, do you know who I am? Because I see who you are. I've lost a couple friends because of it. I went to work one day with my makeup on. They had a huge problem with it. They made a scene saying I was going to cause controversy. It's very intense pressure, knowing that you're reincarnated and being that person of who you are and reincarnated. Because then there's that story of everybody saying it's Pocahontas' fault why the colonists came and they stayed because she was so friendly. My purpose is to bring healing between the colonists and the natives. I want to be the portal for that. I also want to bring Pocahontas' reincarnation to the fullest and live her best life while I still have it.
I'm sorry?
Please help my daughter.
You think I'm crazy? Now you think I'm a...
What
did
do
that just make
you
your
think
feeling
about
worse?
that? I asked her...
She's not wrong that she is 13th generation direct descendant of Pocahontas.
And that's on John Rolfe's side.
No. Pocahontas and John Rolfe had children.
Right.
One of them is our ancestor.
Uh-huh.
Oh, now it's a different story.
It's not a different story.
What do you mean it's not a different story?
And this happens all the time, that she misremembers something and then thinks that we're lying because it's changed in her mind.
Are you sure that you guys aren't just delusional? Because I'm going off what you're telling me.
Let's just assume, for argument's sake, just purely hypothetically, that reincarnation is a thing and that she is a Pocahontas reincarnated. Why would that interfere with you having a job and being a contributing member of society and how would that explain you being combative with people? And it just doesn't add up. It sounds like a very convenient excuse for not pulling your own weight.
I don't think so. I have to disagree with that.
Well, you can disagree with it, but the facts suggest that you use it as an explanation for why you're not accepted by society, and you paint your face up and go to work and they don't.
I only did that one time.
Well, I would think it would only take once. This is how you showed. This is how you showed up for work.
I was very upset about it. Yeah,
Right.
that is how I showed up for work. I was very upset about it, and instead of just me not saying anything and letting it distract me from my job, I just I didn't see anything different. I just went ahead and did my job like I was supposed to. I just had on face paint. I didn't see any difference in it.
Yeah. Well, how'd that work out for you?
I left.
Ayanna says that her parents should be giving her money and helping her find a place to live. Her parents insist they've offered to allow Ayanna to live with them, but she refuses. So what does need to happen in this situation? We'll be right back.
My parents should be giving me some money to at least help me survive.
I do feel whatever it is, it's part of the mental illness, because she does think everyone else is the problem.
She feels that she's entitled to have everything. Everything is owed to her.
I feel like my parents should be doing more for me. I appreciate everything that they have done for me. I appreciate the fact that they just gave me life, because I could have not been here at all. They should be giving me some money to at least help me survive.
If she has a sense of entitlement, it's mostly with her father. I do feel whatever it is, it's part of the mental illness, because she does think everyone else is the problem.
She feels that she's entitled to have everything. Everything is owed to her. I paid for her phones. I paid for food, clothing, shelter. I've given her everything that she ever asked for.
He'll definitely hold it over my head. He'll say, well, I'm the one who pays your phone bill. He'll threaten me when I don't listen to him, or if what I say doesn't go with exactly what he wants. He'll threaten to cut my phone off. I definitely do feel like my dad was controlling me when he was paying my rent. He has this whole huge ego with respect. If something doesn't fit his ways, like a tyrant, he's just gonna shut everything down like a toddler. He'll throw a tantrum.
But she has no real concept of money. Her concept of money is, oh, you just swipe a card. I've called her a spoiled brat when she's 24 years old. You can't always have what you want when you want it.
Have you been honest with me about everything?
Yes.
Your parents gave us a list of behaviors that they said were problematic for them. They said, for example, that you violently have attacked Robert, and when you responded to that, you didn't say you didn't do it, you said, why would I do it? When we said that you punched him in the head driving, you said, well, when was that? Why would I do that? That would kill us both. I wouldn't do that. You didn't say you didn't do it. And you had the same response down here. And, you know, I'm specifically trained in deception detection. Mm-hmm. And I don't believe you told the truth when you responded to that, because there are very specific lie behaviors that people use when they're trying to deflect accountability on the truth. And you were displaying them like a Navy flag man on the end of a boat.
Oh, that's funny. I appreciate your honesty on that.
Those things actually are true, if we're going to be honest with each other. Isn't that correct?
Well, let me tell you about this one. When I violently attack him, why? I mean, I don't go out just attacking him for no reason. He pushes me to a point to defend myself.
Oh, I didn't say it wasn't justified.
What was the other one? The other one was
punching him in the head while driving.
That just doesn't. No, I didn't do it. That doesn't make any sense. And what was the last one? Threw knives? I didn't do that. Like, I didn't do that. I don't have a reason to throw a knife at my dad. I don't want to kill him.
Let's take a look at what he says.
My dad and I fight pretty frequently because he just wants control. One time, he was just in one of his tyrannical moods one day just because I was getting money from him. And he just started talking about, I need to change my attitude. We got into a fight. He ended up swinging at me, so of course anybody off instinct is like, what's up? It was a whole lot of pushing and shoving. I kind of kicked him out the door, but as he was going out the door, he called me a crazy bitch.
I had to call the police twice on my daughter. I was cooking some Brussels sprouts in a bag. They're frozen. You just put them in the microwave. The bag popped. And Diana got real excited. She jumped up and she hollered. And I said to her, it's all right. You know, it's just Brussels sprouts.
I heard them pop in the microwave, and I opened it, and my dad was like, don't touch it. And we just started arguing over that, and the police got called.
She starts throwing things at me. Glasses, container of dishes. The same day, that's when she attacked me from behind and hit me in the back of my head.
Another time, I was fighting with my sister, and next thing I know, I feel it in the back of my head. I went crazy. I just kind of pulled her over my shoulder, threw her, and then right in the eye, and then I felt bad because that's my little sister. So, of course, my dad hears baby girl screaming, and he comes to her rescue, and we're fist fighting at this point. I call the police for help, and I tell them, watch out, there's some wicked energy in there. Don't get sucked into it.
So which is true? You punch him in the head or you don't?
Of course, if someone's going to hit me, I'm going to hit them back, but I'm not swinging first.
But that's different than what you told me before.
Yeah, I didn't mean any deception by that, though.
Okay, I accept your apology.
I guess. Thanks. Question mark?
Robert says that his daughter must be possessed by a demon because he has heard her speaking in tongues. I don't believe that either. But I am going to tell you what I do believe, and I'm going to tell you what I think needs to happen here right after the break. Personally, I don't know whether you're Pocahontas reincarnated. I seriously doubt it. And I seriously doubt it because from everything that I've learned about Pocahontas, I don't think she would be behaving in the way you're behaving.
Well, my personal opinion on that is I wouldn't have a reason to be violent if I wasn't having any violent acts being put towards me. And I appreciate your opinion on you doubting my reincarnation, but I am full and set in my belief in that, and no one can take that away from me. And God told me, I understand, and I appreciate your honesty on that.
But you're willing to challenge it, right?
Not really, no.
Yeah, well, then you must not be very confident in it. So,
oh, no, I'm
now I really don't believe.
I'm definitely.
Now I really don't believe you.
I'm definitely, no, I'm just trying to see where your head is at. And I personally, have fun. Have fun with this.
No, if you're not willing to challenge it and you're closed-minded to it, then I'll just speak to your parents and not you.
I mean, do what you got to do, but I know I'm set in my reincarnation, and I'm still going to fulfill my mission,
You're now convincing me that it is just an excuse.
Oh, no.
Because you're running from examination.
I ain't running.
And
I'm not running.
So now
I'm
I'm
here.
telling you,
I'm in the here.
I don't think she really believes it.
I think I believe it. I want to know.
I don't know if she believes it or not. I believe she's in danger.
I think what you should do if you really want to know, I think you should subject yourself to examination. And there's a place that I have great confidence in called Creative Care, which is out in Malibu, California here. And they do all kinds of evaluation. And based on that evaluation, they do determinations on rationality and irrationality of thought. They examine what your true beliefs are and give you a roadmap through your thinking to determine whether or not you're telling yourself the truth or you're misperceiving signs, signals, and cues along the way. And that's what I think you should do if you really want to know what the answers are.
Okay.
Are you willing to do that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're going to love the campus in at Creative Care in Malibu.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
I'm feeling a little delusional myself right now, and I think
Oh, don't you wish you were reincarnated too? Yeah. Don't you wish you were reincarnated? You'll get that. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, this
yes, I would love that.
This is a nice place to go. Really, I think you deserve this, and I think it would really be helpful to you.
I thank you for that.
I think you deserve it.
Thank you
Okay.
so much.
All right. Next, a hero from one of the most terrifying events in California history. The shocking stories of a battle behind the scenes to save lives. That's after the break. Just weeks ago, we watched shocking and heartbreaking images of people fleeing for their lives, desperately trying to escape what is being called the deadliest, most destructive wildfire in California history. That fire, known as the Camp Fire, raged for 2 weeks and decimated the small town of Paradise in Northern California.
Thousands of homes and businesses are gone as the Camp Fire rages on.
The Camp Fire north of Sacramento has destroyed more than 6,700 structures and consumed more than 90,000 acres.
The Camp Fire exploded in intensity, filling the sky with toxic smoke.
Oh my God.
Firefighters and rescue workers were overwhelmed with 911 calls as the fire surrounded people in their homes and cars trying to escape.
Right now, it's not looking good for getting people out.
The winds are absolutely relentless. This fire is destroying everything in its path.
There have been harrowing accounts of people literally abandoning their vehicles and getting out to run for their lives.
Heavenly Father, please help us.
Surrounded by walls of flames, whipped by winds of 50 miles per hour. People drove through hell trying to escape.
Everything is burning up around us.
There was very little time for the 27,000 people who live in Paradise to evacuate.
So we grabbed our animals and some food and some clothes, and we're getting the heck out of here.
Absolutely devastating. The entire town of Paradise is gone.
Residents of Paradise and Magalia are still coming to terms with the unprecedented devastation. More than 6,000 homes and businesses destroyed.
The number of missing people has jumped dramatically. The death toll keeps climbing, and of course the destruction is overwhelming.
Dozens are dead, hundreds still missing, and more bodies are being recovered every day.
Stories have emerged about how brave firefighters not only contained this catastrophic fire, but also did everything in their power to keep the residents of Paradise alive and safe. One such story is that of the Paradise Fire Chief himself. Take a look.
As hundreds began fleeing, they watched as their entire town burned to the ground. Firefighters from around the state trying their best to protect the community from the furious flames with no mercy in sight.
6-day-old Hallie is the last baby born at Feather River Hospital. Just moments after she arrived, the campfire began to surround the building.
It came over the speaker, evacuate the hospital, all patients need to be moved.
Her ambulance made it about half a mile before it began to literally melt in the flames.
I said goodbye to my husband and just told him to tell our kids that I love them.
I heard the ambulance in front of us is on fire.
Nurse Tamara Ferguson was in an ambulance behind Heather's. As the fire was consuming homes all around them, a stranger helped Heather get out of her ambulance and wheeled her up this driveway. They ran into David Hawks, Paradise's fire chief.
There's a dog door here that one of the paramedics made access to. We unlocked the garage, moved patients into this home, and sheltered them in place.
What happened next was nothing short of amazing.
He said, you do this, you do this, you do this. And all of us shifted our minds to what do we need to do for survival mode here.
EMTs and nurses became stand-in firefighters. Some getting on the roof of this home, clearing gutters of brush, hosing down the outer edge of the property, saving this home, all while their patients were kept safe inside.
Followed directions. They did exactly what I asked them to do.
Amid a neighborhood devastated by the campfire, this home survived. So did all of the patients and medical staff inside.
Well, I've been dedicated to share the stories of our brave first responders in a series that I call Behind the Badge, and today is no different. Please give a warm welcome to Paradise Fire Chief David Hawks.
My pleasure.
David Hawks. Well, first, let me say thank you for your service, not just in this, but every day for what you do. It's just, it's amazing to me.
Thank you very much.
This has to be the most catastrophic fire you've ever been associated with, right?
I've been working for 35 fire seasons, and I've never seen anything this destructive, this rapidly developing, and this widespread.
Yeah. You know, we think about fires, they come up, and we think about them marching across a field or something like that. That's not how it works, is it? These things explode, right?
Absolutely. Fire is driven by three main factors: topography, of which slope is the most dominant, weather, of which wind is the most dominant, and fuels, of which, you know, the dryness of the fuel. And obviously we hadn't had rain in Northern California for about 210 days. So those three things coupled together help to drive this fire in it.
So like 90 to 95% of the homes in Paradise are just gone, right?
Yes. About 12,500 residential structures in Paradise, of which about 90 to 95% have been destroyed.
Look at these pictures.
Yeah.
And like 70, 80% of the businesses are gone.
There is a really good and clear vision to rebuild the town of Paradise. Obviously, it's going to take some time.
How many of your first responders actually lost their homes in the fire?
There's about 37 career firefighters in Butte County that lived in Paradise and the surrounding areas that lost their homes, and then about another 230-some associated families of CAL FIRE and retired firefighters that lost homes.
And, you know, they stay on the job and stay on the fire line and keep fighting the fire, even though they know across town their own home is going up. You're very humble about all of this, but your leadership in that situation shone through with the discipline and professionalism of all the men. And that leadership and professionalism saved a lot of lives, Chief, and we just want to acknowledge that. So when we come back, how do these brave first responders, as well as the residents of the towns affected by these fires, cope with the aftermath and trauma that they've endured? We'll ask and talk about that after the break. I'm speaking with Paradise Fire Chief David Hawks, who just weeks ago, along with other brave first responders, battled the deadliest and most destructive wildfire in California history. What's the toll that it takes on these first responders after the fact?
Well, obviously, during the firefight, it takes a mental and physical toll on the firefighters. You know, they're gone, many of them, for days on end before they get time off, and weeks on end even. And our summers are hotter and longer. Right. It's much, much more difficult for them to get time off and just disengage from the day-to-day activity of firefighting and emergency response.
Yeah, and I think it was amazing that you guys found this home, go through a doggy door, and just kind of set up a stronghold there and save some people's lives, because you look at those ambulances, there was no way they were getting out, right?
Yes.
So you stand and make your fight right there and fight the fire off.
Yeah, basically we established a temporary refuge area at that house. We just used it for shelter. I told the people there, the nurses, the paramedics, the pediatrician, the 2 search and rescue members from Butte County Search and Rescue, that we were just going to stay here and ride it out. It was going to get hot and smoky, and it did, but I felt we would be okay. And yeah.
Well, listen, we do this program called Behind the Badge because we just want to remind people that there are real human beings, men and women with families and lives behind those badges of first responders, and just remind people. So, I mean, guys, when you see these first responders on the street, honk, wave, stop, take a minute, shake hands, thank them for what they do, give them a hug. Just let them know that you realize the sacrifices they made, because they make every day, because they are huge. And like I say, I just want to thank you for your service And we just wanted to recognize you and as a representative of all the first responders from CAL FIRE and in Paradise for the work that you do. And just God bless you and thank you very much. All right, thank you so much. I want to thank all of my guests today, and a special thanks to Paradise Fire Chief David Hawks, as well as Creative Care. And thank you, and we'll see you next time.
Today on an all-new Dr. Phil. Hit with a belt, forced to run to school.
Welcome to You Better Listen to Your Dad 2018.
It's controversial parenting, gone viral.
You made him run to school.
Behave or be fast.
Teaching tool.
You do it to suppress the behavior down.
Or child abuse.
The video with the mom whipping the kid with a belt.
He did steal a car.
Plus.
Welcome to our home, our gingerbread home. This year, I had this life-sized gingerbread house built in our home for our grandbabies, Avery and London.
And she does all this herself. She's up all night tying ribbons and making everything look perfect. Happy holidays.
From our home to yours.
Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
Today's going to be a changing day in your life.
5, 4.
I am not giving up on you. Well, today we are delving into a very controversial issue, parental humiliation, where parents punish their children, post it online, and watch it explode. Take a look.
Brian Thornhill's son was kicked off the bus for 3 days for bullying, so he decided to force him to run to school instead.
This right here is just old school simple parenting. If you got your panties in the water over watching a kid jog, well, I feel sorry for you. You're probably a lousy piece of
A 14-year-old boy is grounded thanks to this stunt. He took his mom's new BMW out for a joyride without permission.
Pull over now!
Lisa Martinez hopped out to teach him a lesson he'll never forget. She proceeded to discipline him right there on the side of the road.
An Ohio dad is going viral for his response after his daughter was kicked off the school bus for bullying, and the video says it all.
My beautiful daughter is going to walk 5 miles to school in 36-degree weather.
Make them be out in the cold and video it and post it, which has a shame.
I don't agree with the posting. The posting should never, ever happen. Ever.
Well, those clips received over 100 million views combined, and the debate is, are their questionable techniques considered child abuse or not? Now, I asked my social media followers what they thought, and I'll reveal those results later in the show. But first, the parents who recorded those videos, well, they're all here today. And they say they stand by their actions, and they stand by them unapologetically. Let's start with Brian, a father who says he does not regret videotaping his son, who he made run to school in the rain as punishment.
All right, everybody, welcome to You Better Listen to Your Dad 2018.
In March 2018, I was getting calls from the school. My son's behavior had escalated in the classroom, causing many issues and disruptions about the class, which escalated that Friday afternoon on a school bus home. There was issues with shoving, punching other children, which led to a 3-day suspension on the school bus.
My son has finally got in trouble on the bus enough to where he got actually kicked off the bus for 3 days because he was being a little bully.
I had to try something different. Traditional timeout wasn't working. The day the video took place, it was in the upper 50s with a light rain. Being the athlete he is and knowing he can run, letting him run to school would literally cool him off. I got my phone out, went Facebook Live, and then from there it just went viral.
This is video of Hayden Thornhill running to school.
The 10-year-old ran about a mile. He ran through this neighborhood for a total of about 3 days.
I thought it was going to be horrible, but when I actually started to run, like when I was first started, I was like, oh, this isn't too bad.
I'm sure someone will get all bent on shape. Oh my God, child abuse, a child running.
I started getting positive and negative feedback. I had many people write to me telling me I'm a piece of and I should die, and they would love to kill me themselves. Ever since the video, we've seen a huge change in the bullying. I don't feel the video was an abusive video or an abusive punishment. My son's an athlete year-round and runs constantly. That distance is no big deal for him. For this particular child, this fit perfect.
And if you need anything for your kids, you can feel free to send them to Brian's boot camp, no charge.
Behave or be fast.
All right, Brian. So, have you gotten hate mail over this?
I've gotten hate mail, love mail in every language from every country.
What prompted the punishment, any kind of punishment?
Simply love. If you want to base it down to the care, I care about my son enough that I want to make sure he develops into a proper adult and knows the difference between right and wrong. The week prior to the video, he had been absolutely horrible at school. I was getting calls every day, disrupting class, making everybody's life torturous in the school. And that particular Friday had escalated on the school bus. That same mile run is all he has on the school bus. It's a few minutes to ride, and during that time, he punched other kids, crawled up and over seats, shoved other kids down the aisle and everything, which is just unacceptable. A school bus driver doesn't need to worry about that. School bus driver needs to get the kids back safely. So I got the call Tuesday once the principal had reviewed. At that point, he lost his ride. If you lose your job, you got to get a new job. You lose your phone, you got to get a new phone. He had to find a new ride, and it was going to be them Nike shoes.
All right. So, why is he a bully?
I wish I knew that. I was hoping you was going to figure that out.
Well, actually, there's a lot of research about bullies.
A lot of people say it's because of me. But I have to ask the question, since you're the doctor, if it's because of me, my daughter, raised the same way, is an angel.
A son and a daughter can have a very different experience in the same house. Bullies are almost universally bullied at home.
Okay.
Almost universally. And they don't retaliate at home to a power figure because they're so overwhelmed. And so research suggests that they suppress that, they push it down until they get somewhere that they can vent that, and then they do. Now, that doesn't mean that you are a bully.
Well, that's what I was going to say. My son actually is, I can see that in many cases. My son doesn't hold back at home. We still have issues with him. The bullying issue stopped on the school bus. We do have issues still at home, though. He likes, his biggest thing I keep telling him, he needs to learn just to be quiet. Most of his problem currently is he keeps going and keeps going.
Kind of like you are now?
Yeah, he gets it honest. He gets it honest. Yeah. I'll at least know when to be quiet at times. You tell me to shut up, I'll shut up, I promise.
All right, shut up. Because I want to look at some of the responses that you got. Jess wrote, cruel. They is a much better way to punish your child. I think this is a form of abuse. Mary wrote, good dad. It may seem harsh, but we are way too easy on our kids these days. You can love your kids and be tough on them at the same time. Heather wrote, the punishment itself is fine. Filming it to post on social media is unnecessary shaming and a form of parental bullying. Pat wrote, Parenting 101, good for him. So you got feedback. It wasn't all criticism. You got a lot of people that said, hey, good on you, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, the thing is, social media, a lot of people have a big issue with the social media. And I'll be honest, I'm not a big busty blonde, so I'm not used to tons of likes on my social media, okay? My friends posted it and made it go viral. The video was on Thursday. Sunday morning, it was at 300,000. I went to church, got back, it was at 3 million. By dinner time, it was over 10 million. I had no clue what to do with that. Washington Post calls me on Monday morning. What? Who? My son was running away from a camera. It was no different than if he was at a soccer game or running down the field to score a goal. He didn't know it. He wasn't crying. He didn't cry during the whole thing or anything else. He took it because he knew he made a punishment. And if he was here right now, which he's been in many of the interviews, you can look it up and see, he knows what I did was right and he understands. And I haven't had any more bullying issues at school.
Brian isn't the only one who came up with this type of punishment. We'll meet a father who says he feels no shame for making his daughter walk to school in the coldest punishment, and the only people who should be ashamed are the parents who let their children run wild. We're going to add him to the conversation. We're going to keep Brian here because I suspect he might have something else to say. We'll be right back.
When I first told her she had to walk to school for her punishment, I don't think she believed me. She needed to learn that not everything is a right. There are a lot of things in life that are a privilege. I did not humiliate my daughter in that video.
And later, Dwayne stepped in and offered to take care of a crying child in a restaurant.
I said, ma'am, you know if you bust his ass, he might quit crying. Would you like me to take care of that for you?
Matt says even though he filmed the punishment of his 10-year-old daughter walking to school in cold weather and posted it online, he feels no shame about this. He claims it's the other parents who let their children mistreat others and do nothing who should really be ashamed. Take a look.
This is my 10-year-old daughter, who has, for the second time this year, been kicked off the school bus.
A father disappointed in his daughter for bullying another student came up with a punishment that has been viewed millions of times online.
Today, my daughter is going to walk 5 miles to school. When I first told her she had to walk to school for her punishment, I don't think she believed me. She didn't think I was going to follow through with making her walk to school. It was a little chilly that day. It was about 36 degrees. She needed to learn that not everything is a right. There are a lot of things in life that are a privilege. My daughter absolutely deserved to be walking.
I feel like I shouldn't have done that.
Are you still mad at Dad?
No.
What all have we learned through our punishment?
Don't bully because it's not nice.
I know a lot of you parents are not going to agree with this. I'm doing what I feel is right. I don't think I was being harsh at all. I did not humiliate my daughter in that video. I did not make her do anything other than walk to school. I believe in spanking. Being brought up with firm discipline has made me the person I am today, and I am very grateful for it. As a father, I have absolutely no regrets and would 100% do it again.
Okay, Matt, thanks for being here. And I want to get some facts straight, so correct me if I'm wrong here. First off, the 5.5 miles was spread across 3 days.
Correct.
So what did she do on the bus that got her kicked off?
She was bullying, cursing at a kid, making fun of her. And when the bus driver went to drop the kid off at school, she was blocking her from getting out of her chair.
Mm-hmm. I've done a lot of shows where I deal with victims of bullying. And I always say, where are the parents of the bullies? Here I have two fathers whose kids are bullying, and you are intervening. You are doing something. So you're not just letting your kid go out there and be bullying somebody. You're holding them accountable and telling them that's not okay. There are consequences for it. And so I absolutely applaud both of you for doing that, no question about it. Now, on Matt's Facebook, it's posted, update, lesson learned, still has all of her extremities intact, is happy and healthy, and seems to have a new outlook on bullying, as well as a new appreciation for some of the simple things in life that she used to take for granted. Hashtag, hold our kids accountable. Hashtag, stop bullying.
Amen.
Okay, so...
That's the thing, Dr. Phil. So many people want it both ways. You know, we're getting flack from all over the world for stepping up. But if my son had bullied another child to where they'd committed suicide, I'd be here for a whole nother segment. And if more parents would stand up and support parenting, the ING of that action you do every single day, from waking them up to school to kiss them at bed at night, then we might eliminate a lot of these bullying issues.
Yeah. Well, we asked both of you to give us 3 parenting tips as you saw it. Your 3 parenting tips were, number 1, never give up on your kids.
Amen.
Number 2, you said be involved in your kid's life. And number 3, don't always try to parent alone. And then you said, our children are not going to hate us if we hold them accountable. You can't assume your kids' actions will correct themselves.
Absolutely.
And 3, you said, use the experience as a learning lesson.
Yep.
Amen.
You want to know what I think?
Sure.
Yeah.
That's why we're here.
The creative aspect of your parenting, in my view, is not inappropriate. I think what you chose and you chose, I think neither of that constitutes abuse at all. And I have to tell you, when I was 16 years old in Kansas City, I got a ticket for speeding. I made the mistake of saying, Judge, I admit that I was speeding, I just didn't see the sign.
Uh-oh.
And he said, well, maybe they don't stand out enough. So here's what you're going to do. It was in this little town of Fairway, Kansas, suburb of Kansas City. He said, for the next 3 Saturdays, you're going to paint the pole on every speed limit sign in Fairway, Kansas.
Woo.
And so I had to show up at 8 o'clock in the morning and get a bucket of silver paint and a brush. In February in Kansas City, it was so cold the paint was like putty. I had to hold it in my coat to get it warm so I could paint. And I painted those poles for 3 Saturdays from 8 in the morning till 4 o'clock. And that was 50 years ago, and I remember it today.
How many more speeding tickets have you got?
Not in Fairway, Kansas, to this day. To this day, when I drive through Fairway, Kansas, and I've told my kids this story, we pull through Fairway, Kansas, and I slow down and tell them that story and say, yes, Dad, we've heard the story. All right, so I don't think that is an issue here. We'll talk about what you did with the information in a minute. We're going to meet a father who says he spanked his son and other parents need to do the same when necessary. Next.
I don't regret saying that I would whoop somebody else's children. I think it's okay to spank children. A whooping is not child abuse.
And later,
I think what you're saying is just being soft.
Excuse me. The research indicates spanking is not useful.
Says that, but
did you research prisons?
Your intention is good. Your method is not.
Dwayne says children don't fear their parents these days, and they're the problem in this, quote, snowflake society. Dwayne says he believes in corporal punishment, but did he cross the line when he stepped in and offered to take care of a crying child in a restaurant? Not his child, someone else's. Here's what he and his wife, Jennifer, have to say.
I think it's okay to give someone a whooping. We were at a local restaurant. A little boy just kept crying and crying.
The kid was standing in line throwing a fit. My husband offered to the mother to give him an ass whooping.
The next day, I made the post with the paddle, and the post went viral. I set up a stand outside, like a lemonade stand, 3 ass whoopings. Some people called me a child abuser over that post. A whooping is not child abuse.
I've never had to whip my kids, and I never will.
I punished my children when they were growing up. I was fair, consistent, and forgiving. I think it's okay to spank children.
He's much more strict than I
don't regret saying that I would whoop somebody else's children. If schools and parents can't control their children, there's a judge out there somewhere that will.
Glad y'all are here. How long did this go on before you felt like you needed to offer some counsel?
We were in the restaurant probably 15, 20 minutes, and the little boy just, it wasn't a cry, it was a scream. He was upset, and the parents just kept brushing him off like it was no big deal. And finally, jokingly, I'm a joking person, and I just leaned over and I said, would you like for me to take care of that for you? And she just started laughing. She says, oh, he's just upset because he didn't get any gum from the other store. And I thought, well, hell, we've been here for 15, 20 minutes. Wonder how long he's been crying. So I didn't say anything. Another 10 went by. Finally, I said, ma'am, you know, if you bust his ass, he might quit crying. And the grandmother said, oh, he's just so spoiled, that wouldn't work. So I went home. I made a post on social media explaining what had just happened.
So you created this. Parents, your kids need a whooping. Summer can't end fast enough. Stop by. I'm set up. No kids over 13. They may whoop me. And so you put this up.
Yes. You know, yeah. I was home all by myself, and I had to go down.
It happens.
Yes. Yeah. I had to go get the neighbor kid. He's 16 to come down and take my picture for this.
Were you spanked growing up?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What for?
Misbehaving, crying when I shouldn't be, doing things that a child shouldn't do. I don't believe in hitting a child with your fist or slapping them in the face, but I am all for a good old ass whooping. If you get in trouble, you need an ass whooping.
And what do you think about that?
I don't think it's necessary.
Right. Why not?
I talk to my kids.
Right.
Communication, mutual respect.
But that's what makes a difference. Like, for an example, and I'm not disagreeing with you. Some kids you can do that. My daughter, I can look at and say, Temperance, did you take those cookies? Yes, Daddy, I'm sorry. My son would be like, nah.
Were you spanked as a child?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm guilty on that one.
I wonder, and listen, the nation is kind of divided on this. There are those that believe spare the rod, spoil the child, and then there are those that believe that you shouldn't spank a child. But I always wonder what goes through a child's mind, and maybe went through your mind, because you look at your parent and you say, okay, this person tells me they love me. This is the person I go to for comfort. This is the person I go to for safety. But intermittently, they pick up a weapon and attack me and inflict pain on me. Did you ever have any trouble reconciling that?
My mother started out with, she would change the tone of her voice. And if I didn't behave after that tone changed, that's when the paddle come out. So there's steps the way she took it to discipline me.
We'll meet a woman who videotaped her mother spanking her brother on the side of the road with a belt. Are these viral moments all about parental ego and the need for attention? I have someone here who says yes. We're going to add her to the conversation next. We'll be right back.
Give me the belt.
My next guest, Liza, filmed her mother whipping her 14-year-old brother with an Hermes belt after he took her mother's new BMW for a joyride.
Everybody's talking about this too. A mom spanking her son for stealing her BMW.
Pull over now! Give me the belt.
Texas mom grabbing a belt and spanking some sense into her 14-year-old son after busting him taking her brand new car on a joyride.
Pull over now!
Okay, well, that news anchor made his mind up. He was saying knocking some sense into the child. So you had the news anchor on your side, right?
Kind of.
Yeah. So tell me what you were thinking.
The only reason that I was recording it was because he's my little brother, and at that time it was, to be honest with you, it was different seeing him get in trouble. He's the baby of the family, and he never really got it as bad as myself and my younger brother, the middle child.
What I wonder about is what you learn when you're getting hit with a belt. I mean, what kind of teachable moment that is. And I wonder if it's anything if you're out stealing your mother's BMW. I wonder if you've learned self-discipline, if you've learned to reason the difference between right and wrong. Now, I want to add someone to this conversation. Areva Martin is a civil rights attorney, author, and child advocate who has a lot to say on today's issue. And she's certainly no stranger to speaking her mind because she's the co-host of Face the Truth. Take a look.
Attorney and advocate, Areva Martin.
You put your hands around her neck, and where I sit as a lawyer, that's a form of domestic violence. You don't have to be a victim. You can stand up for yourself, and not only for yourself, for those two kids. Do you feel good about hurting this young woman? Rather than build her up and support her, you're tearing her down. I really related to your background. I grew up poor too, and I know what it's like to be on welfare. I think if you share your journey with your daughter together, I think you all can solve whatever problem you have.
In the interest of full disclosure, I am executive producer of Face the Truth, so I'm not completely objective about that, or Areva Martin, who I absolutely love. So joining me is my friend, Areva. What do you think about this spanking business? We'll talk about that first.
You know, Dr. Phil, I've been on the show a lot of times where we've been talking about corporal punishment. I am not in favor of corporal punishment. And spanking, I don't think helps anybody. And I love when you said, what is going through the mind of a child when the parent that is supposed to love them, protect them, and be their safety net now pulls out a belt and starts just going to town on them. That is such a confusing message. And one of the things I haven't heard anyone on the panels talk about is, what have their kids learned about bullying? Why are these kids bullying?
I don't think a spanking's your first resort. That's step one. They've taken it 3 or 4 steps further before we resort to this type of punishment. It's not like...
But you're saying that you do it to suppress the behavior. You're doing it to push the behavior down,
I'm trying to step up and go, look, this has to stop now.
What we saw in the video with the mom whipping the kid with the belt, I didn't see any gradual, 12-step program where she first started something that was less violent.
She did steal a car.
She didn't write him a letter and say, please steal my car.
He stole a car.
I'm pretty sure there was something before.
We didn't hear any communication. We didn't hear any efforts to try to get at why is the kid stealing the car.
That was the child that's been spoiled. He hasn't been spanked.
I'd like to address your question real quick. You asked if they've learned anything. Sitting down that evening, reading social media comments, parents that have lost their kids within the last week. And I not only read that to my daughter, I read that to all 3 of my children, and every one of them were affected, including myself. There wasn't a dry eye in the house. So yeah, she did learn her lesson, very much so. She learned empathy for other people and how words hurt and how deep they cut and the effects that it has on people.
And I would say you just made my case. It was that communication, that effective parent-child communication, which all the studies show makes the biggest difference in how kids behave. And then let me just address why we are here, really.
Well, you're going to have to do it after the break.
Okay.
What do you at home think about these issues? I asked you online. I'm going to reveal those poll results and pick back up with Areva and add someone else to the conversation when we come back. Today we're talking about very divisive parenting issues. Now, joining us now, I want to add to the conversation Dr. Charles Sophy. He is on the Dr. Phil Advisory Board. He's also the medical director for the Department of Child and Family Services here in Los Angeles. I also want to add Donna Tatro to the conversation. Donna is a former elementary school teacher and is now the executive director of Care Fair LA, an annual community event to teach children and families kindness, compassion, and inclusion to proactively combat bullying. Thank you for being here. Dr. Sophy, thank you for being here. You did something that's really important, and that's for children to develop empathy. For them to develop empathy, for them to be required to sit down and think about a situation from the other person's point of view and what the consequences of their behavior can be on another person. Donna, what do you say about this?
I completely agree. I mean, we know from science that we're not born with a fixed amount of empathy. We can grow our empathy. And so our job as parents is to use these moments as teachable moments. And what you guys are doing, unfortunately, is modeling bullying behavior. I get what you guys are doing, and the thought is the right thought, but if you flip the script on it and teach kindness, compassion, and inclusion, this empathetic being will be born.
But
and that's what you want.
I think what you're saying is just being soft. You said when that mother was whooping that child in the car, what was going through that kid's mind? Well, I can tell you, I should have never took them damn keys. That's what's going through that child's mind. And now you're saying,
the research indicates spanking is not useful.
But
did you research prisons? He could have killed someone.
What's wrong with society these days is everybody is so scared.
No.
They're so scared because they're worried about how everybody's going to perceive them for being a parent.
What the hell do you think your kid was saying to themselves as you're videotaping them? What do you think they were saying to themselves?
He was just, I've got to run. I'm going to get to school. The part that a lot of people don't know, this will be news breaking, is when we got to school, we stopped, and he's like, I'm like, all right, hope you have a good day at school, son. He goes, Daddy, I'm soaking wet. I said, I know, son. I said, but what are you going to think? He's like, I'm going to squeak and be squishy all day. I said, but will you mess with another kid? You're going to be the squishy kid that stands out now. Do you want people to pick on you about that? No, Daddy, I don't want that. I said, then if you want, you can run home and get dry clothes, and I'll give you a ride back to school.
How many
My son, without hesitation, turned around and ran the mile back to his house, got dry clothes. We got in the truck, and on the way to school, we stopped at the school, and we talked for about 5 minutes about it.
You understand the impact of posting those videos. You don't know in 5 years how that kid's going to feel. You don't know what they're hiding inside of themselves. So they're going to keep it in, and they're going to see that. They're going to go on a date. Somebody's going to pull it up.
Don't underestimate the power that those videos have, as Dr. Sophie said.
You don't understand. You're humiliating those kids. And I get why you did it. Let me finish, please.
They're the bully.
Let me finish, please.
They're not coming after the bully.
Please. Let me finish. You're humiliating your children. I know that you're coming from a good place, but the humiliation factor is long-lasting. And you have cleanup to do after that. You may say no because they don't show that to you now. But you got to keep your eyeballs open because it's going to come.
Brian's question for me is, what are my 5 tips to successful parenting? My answer to that and some poll results when we come back. Now, I asked viewers at home to vote in an online poll. Is it ever okay to spank children? Yes, 72%. No, 28%. Do you think corporal punishment damages children psychologically? Yes, 52. No, 48. Is shaming children on social media emotional abuse?
Yes.
Yes, 88%. No, 12%.
Yeah, I agree there.
I think having a child walk to school or whatever, that to me does not constitute abuse. I do not think either of these two gentlemen had any intent to humiliate their children at all. Both of them videoed them from behind, and Dr. Sophie's opinion is if a child is embarrassed about something, that can stick with them for a long, long time. And you just need to think about that. Now, Brian asked me 5 tips for being a successful parent. I actually have 7 rules of engagement with your child. 1 is approach all communications in a way that protects or enhances your child's self-esteem, even when you're in discipline mode. You can do it by saying, you know, you are such a good kid, you have so much talent and potential that you really cheat yourself when you don't do that. So I believe in you so much that you deserve to have better consequences here. 2, narrow the focus of your task-oriented communications as much as possible. After you tell someone 2 criticisms, their defensiveness goes through the roof. 1 thing, okay. 2 things, okay. After that, everybody, human nature, they start to shut down. So pick your battles. 3, use your communications to generate solutions rather than to just relive problems. 4, focus on the issue at hand and avoid personal attacks and character assassination. Stay in the here and now. 6, keep your problem-solving communications and exchanges private. And 7, always conclude on a positive note. Find something. It's so important, it takes 1,000 attaboys to erase 1 you're no good kid. And you guys made great examples of that when you actually sat down and talked to your kids, and it paid off. Thanks to these parents for sharing their stories, and a special thanks to my friends Dr. Charles Sophie, parenting expert, Donna Tatroy, and child advocate Areva Martin, whose book, Make It Rain. These guys are making them walk in the rain. Make it rain. And make sure to watch her on Face the Truth. You'll really enjoy it. Coming up, when it comes to putting the happy in the holidays, I don't think anyone can compare to Robin. And to show you what I mean, I'm going to give you a sneak peek inside our home. That's next. Well, the holidays are here, and that means one thing. Robin turns our home into a Christmas Wonderland. I mean, you have no idea.
I have to admit it. I love the holidays.
You really do.
I especially love Christmas. I can't wait until Christmas gets here because I love...
since we got grandkids.
Oh, my gosh. Those grandbabies are everything. I mean, especially at Christmas time. But I love decorating. I love the music. I love the food. And I love the presents, don't I?
Yes, I love the presents.
Did you hear me say that?
Yeah, I heard you say
love the
that.
Presents.
She's so passionate about her decorating, she even wrote a book, Christmas in My Home and Heart, with tips on how to make your own holiday magic. Yeah.
I did.
You wrote that, that's like 5 years ago, right?
Yeah. I had so much fun doing it. You know, when I start decorating, I always tell him my plan. I always tell him my theme, whatever I plan to do, and I'll get started because I like to do it all myself. And I'll work all day on it. He'll come in at the end of the day, and, you know, he walks in the door like, ooh, whoa, what?
I do what?
You walk in and go, oh, whoa, what?
I don't do that.
Like he never knew.
I don't do that.
You do it. Admit it.
Well, you'll understand my surprise this year because Robin went really big and created something really special for our family. Here's a sneak peek into our home. We don't often do this, but we're going to open the door, so here you go.
This is a magical time of year, and I do love decorating. Every year, I do a different theme. Last year, we were supposed to go to one of our favorite places, Aspen, Colorado, but we were unable to. So, instead, I brought Aspen home.
And she does all this herself. She's up all night tying ribbons and making everything look perfect.
Welcome to our home, our gingerbread home. This year, I had this life-sized gingerbread house built in our home for our grandbabies, Avery and London. This mantle and fireplace, it's so precious. And I needed something to display all these really fun things. Photos from every Christmas that I could think of. We have Avery when she came to see Santa's workshop. And this one has both of them on Santa's lap. Candy, gumballs, and candy canes are in every Christmas decoration. This little table and chairs, I purchased when Avery was born. I made it red, candy cane striped chairs. These things, they're new this year, the little suckers. I have to say, this might be the smallest, shortest tree I've ever done. This giraffe I actually bought when London was born, and the giraffe is wearing a nutcracker hat this year. I love those babies, and I love this gingerbread house. I'm certain they're going to love it.
A lot of people want everything just right for their loved ones, and they end up with a big to-do list. So Robin is here to help everyone with that.
That's exactly right. One of the things on my to-do list is shopping for friends and family. And I've made it easy for everyone this year because my holiday gift box has something you need to look and feel great for the holidays.
Go to RobinMcGrawRevelation.com. You don't need to wrap it because she's even added an ornament with a beautiful ribbon. So that's one less thing on your to-do list. So tell us what's in there.
Out of my entire line of luxury products, I've included some of my very favorites. First are my 3 brand new amazing facial sheet masks and my under eye mask. Wear them for 15 or 20 minutes and then peel them off.
Now, I want to say, my tennis buddies and I actually love these things. They're always coming over the house. They're asking Robin for products. And by the way, when you're wearing these things, that's a good time to really take 15 or 20 minutes to chill out, do a little meditation, de-stress yourself, and that builds up across time and can really slow the aging process. So what else do you have in there?
Well, I also included my OMG, is this really me? Instant Face Shaper. It lifts and tightens skin in 10 minutes. And of course, you have to have the Foaming Joy Cleanser, Polish to Perfection Scrub, Hydrated Skin Equals Youth Moisturizer. Very important. And I included 4 candles that your whole family can enjoy. This is also a beautiful way to make your home smell wonderful. And then lastly, I have something that will make kissing under the mistletoe that much better.
This is my favorite item in the box.
It is my Cherry Blossom Lippy Lovey Lip Balm. I think it might be better than mistletoe. What do you think?
No, I'm not going to waste that, though. Robin's holiday gift box is available right now, just in time for the holidays. It ships worldwide, and in the U.S. and Canada, shipping is free.
That's so fun.
She built a house inside the house. A house inside the house.
Whoa, what? That's why you did that.
Yeah. That wasn't real snow in our house, just another part of Robin's creativity.
Fake snowballs.
Yeah.
Cute.
Her creativity is also a huge part of her holiday gift box. So even though Christmas is just days away, expedited shipping is available. Go to RobinMcGrawRevelation.com and order today. And audience, Robin has a treat for you. Everyone is going home with some of her favorite products from her holiday gift box. So we'll have those for you. I want to thank all of my guests today. From Robin and our entire family, we wish you a happy and safe holiday season. Thanks so much, guys.
All-new Dr. Phil. From Disney star to homeless and in danger.
I called in because Orlando, he has mental problems. He's burnt so many bridges. No one wants to deal with him. If you can't help, he does not have a chance.
Orlando Brown.
Out of nowhere, he'll say, Michael Jackson's my father. I own Neverland.
Does he want help?
Yes, he does.
I think that you're experiencing some confusion, and I'm offering to help you.
A Dr. Phil exclusive.
Orlando Brown is best known for his role as Eddie on the hit Disney Channel show, That's So Raven. As a teen, he won over fans with his charming smile. But now, at 30 years old, Orlando has gone from a promising young actor to a homeless, mentally ill addict. Orlando's friends say they fear the actor is near death. Now, disturbing videos of the former star ranting and raving, as well as a string of recent arrests, made headlines and had fans very concerned for Orlando's well-being. Take a look.
A former Disney star arrested. Orlando Brown, best known for his role on That's So Raven, was arrested for alleged domestic battery and drug possession back in January. In 2014, he struck a plea deal after being accused of threatening to kill a woman and her daughter. He was also arrested on DUI charges in 2013 and in 2011, and for marijuana possession in 2007.
Orlando's friends and associates reached out to us, desperate for help for the troubled star. Orlando's friend and manager, Solomon Barron, said he was willing to do anything to get us to help save his friend's life. He brought Orlando here to meet me, and here's what happened. Dr. Phil.
Solomon.
How are you, sir?
Oh, not bad.
Well, it's good to meet you.
It's my pleasure.
You are apparently a very nice guy, a very giving friend, and a very patient man.
I try to be.
Because you've been hanging in there for your friend Orlando for quite some time.
Right.
So tell me why we're here and tell me what you're up against here.
Well, I called in because Orlando is, I don't want to diagnose him because I'm not professional, but he's obviously delusional. You know, he's financially in shambles. Mm-hmm. His living arrangements is in shambles. His whole life is in shambles right now, and he doesn't quite understand that. I took him in maybe about 8 months ago, and he has a drinking problem. He smokes a lot of weed. I mean, he has a really, really high tolerance for anything and everything, and you know, it's gotten out of control. There's nothing more I can do as far as financially and emotionally. I'm at my limit. The room I let him stay in was a disaster. You know, it's like he has he had no upbringing. Like, this problem started a long time ago. I don't know how he even got this far in life. Like, he doesn't carry a wallet, he doesn't have ID. He keeps his money in his sock.
And how long did he stay with you?
Until he went to jail recently. I had kicked him out after so long. We got into a big argument. I mean, he woke up delusional, thinking that I stole his vape pen. So he started screaming, banging on the doors, and that was the final straw. I had to put him out. He was running around the streets, no shoes on, and he ended up going to jail.
Now, you've had problems with him from time to time while he was staying with you. He's been there months, right?
Right.
And things would go okay for a while, but then you've had episodes with him, right?
Right.
Give me a sense of what I'm dealing with here. Episode-wise, what has happened that's been a problem? That's one example where he wakes up, starts banging on your door, and accuses you of stealing something from him. What else has happened?
Well, like, we'll be driving, and we'll be listening to music, and then, you know, he'll just turn the music down, and he'll be like, Will Smith is my dad. Can you call him? And I'll look at him, you know, because it's shocking sometimes, because it comes out of nowhere. We'll be fine, and then out of nowhere, he'll say, I'm Prince Jackson. Michael Jackson's my father. I own Neverland. Sometimes you don't know if he's playing or if you don't know where he's serious. He know we're coming to see Dr. Phil, but he keeps saying, Dr. Phil? Oh, no, that's Steve Harvey. He looked like Steve Harvey.
But then he'll go back to being fine?
Right.
Has he been violent with you at all?
No.
Has he stolen anything?
No. After his career with so many different people and trying to reach out to everyone, his mom, none of the co-stars that he's had in the years, nobody wants anything to do with him. So I accepted the challenge of being his manager, not totally understanding everything, being that, you know, it's my first rodeo. So no one at all wants to deal with him. And then I figured out why. He has a mental problem that he is not addressing. So I said, if you can't get him to recognize his problems, he does not have a chance in life at a comeback, anything. It doesn't look good for him.
So nobody's been willing to help him? Nobody's willing to try to help him? None of his co-stars? Nobody he's worked with before?
No, not lately. He's burnt so many bridges, but I don't think everyone understands how serious his mental issue is.
Mm-hmm. But you've asked for help?
Yeah, I've reached out to as many people as I can. I'm just a little person, so.
And what do they say?
There's been a lot of no responses. Flavor Flav is pretty close with him, but you know, he's had episodes with Flav, and Flav he can only help him so much. He's tried to help him before, but you know, he's trying to live his life as well too and secure his future and do the things he need to do. So it's hard for him to help Orlando.
Well, and I understand Flav is a nice guy and a caring guy, but this just may be over a layman's head in terms of what to do. And you've asked other people, nobody's willing to help. I mean, I'm just trying to find out what the situation is, because if I talk to him, I want to know what resources I have in terms of support and who I could look to in terms of people that would, you know, be there for him, support him, encourage him, that sort of thing. And it seems like everybody's turned their back on him.
Well, it kind of works both ways, because when you figure out all the games and all the things he's doing, he tries to push you away. And he'll just move on to the next person, move on to the next person, and he'll move on to the next person. Mm-hmm. And he's ran out of real friends and family to do that with. So now he's just in the world doing the same thing, moving on from one person to the next person, telling lies and stories and dreams.
Why does he think he's here?
He knows that he is here to try to receive some type of help. He wants to be able to have another shot at life. He wants to be able to put his life in someone's hands who can really help him, and he thinks that you can do that for him.
So he's not disoriented. I mean, he's not disoriented as to person, place, and time. He knows who he is, where he is, what he's doing. It's just his decision-making is not good.
Well, his decision, is definitely blurred, and I don't know. I can't tell you why, but yeah.
But he knows he's here to talk to me. He knows that I'm going to try to help him. He understands that.
Right.
He's here willingly. You asked him to come, and he said sure.
Right.
And he knows I'm going to talk to him, try to help him.
Right.
Does he want help?
Yeah, he does.
Does he recognize he's got a problem?
Yes, he just said to me this morning that he's glad that he's taking the Seroquel because it helps him with his panic attacks and his anxiety, that it helped him.
And is that prescription?
Yes.
And is he taking it as prescribed, or is he...
That I'm not sure.
Don't know?
because he'll tell you, I'm 30 years old, I'm a grown man. So I have to give him some type of freedom.
Well, I'm going to talk to him, and I'm going to talk to him alone, but I may ask you to join us because depending on how he responds and if I need a reality check, I'll have you come back in. Fair enough?
Absolutely.
Coming up.
You have some odd-looking contacts in your eyes.
They're my Michael Jackson eyelids. My full name is Orlando Brown, Prince Michael Jackson Jr. My father was Michael Jackson.
Your father was Michael Jackson.
Monday on Dr. Phil.
My Playboy husband filed for divorce, but would like to live with me.
That is sick.
She doesn't want the divorce.
Where do you draw the line, for better, for worse?
Right here.
But how much?
You found Dustin's profile on a cheater's website.
Is she willing to take?
You slept with that girl.
That's an assumption.
This is the ridiculous behavior that I am so tired of.
Then why are you still here?
That's Monday. We now return to Dr. Phil's exclusive interview.
How are you? Good to see you.
Nice to see you.
Have a seat.
Alrighty.
It's good to meet you. I've just been talking to your friend, Solomon. You've been staying with him for a while, right?
Maybe 3-4 months solid.
He speaks well of you.
Thank you.
He thinks you're a very talented guy. You have some odd-looking contacts in your eyes.
Yeah, they're my Michael Jackson eyelids. It's for Thriller.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
So those are like Halloween type?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. So tell me why you're here.
To meet you in person and also to make sure that I thank you, because I know from afar you actually had a lot to do with my transformation. So, thank you so much. And, got my family back and a whole bunch of stuff. So
yeah. What transformation is that?
Just heading to the next level of being a man in my own life. For a while I wasn't acting accordingly. So now that I am, I owe it to people like you and all the others that came before me that I look up to.
You've been very successful in your life. You've done a lot of television. You've got a lot of fans out there, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm very grateful for that.
You guys told Claire you were groomers.
I can't believe she believed us.
Shampoo, conditioner, flea remover. She's really sweet with dogs. Not so sweet with people. That's because she hasn't met us yet.
You were on That's So Raven. How long were you on that show?
When I started, I was 13. Then I ended at 18.
Was that a good thing for you? Did you enjoy that?
I enjoyed it tremendously. Actually, we were working on something to basically get us all back together, the cast, and also wrote a show called Coach Eddie. So that's pretty cool. But I had a great time. We definitely were all family as far as the show is concerned. But it's as far as the off stage, it was just even more magical. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. Do you still speak to Raven?
Of course. Of course. I haven't seen her too much lately, but...
What's your relationship like with her now?
Right now, it's pretty good. I want to marry her, but I gotta find out a way to ask her. So right about now, I'm just chilling.
Yeah. So your career was going along really well, and then it seemed like it kind of took a downturn.
Yeah, well...
What happened?
Well, a lot of drinking is what happened. I was drinking a lot, and I just found myself in a dark place because I couldn't really find everybody, not knowing that. It's like kind of like looking for your keys, but when you stop looking, they're right there type of deal.
Yeah.
So I started to realize what was in front of me, and from there, now I'm good. But back then, it was the drinking. It was a binge of taco vodka and any kind of vodka I could get my hand on, along with some drugs, heavily medicated with marijuana at the time. And then not only that, but, you still got the crystal meth incident that I had. So, and I started to sell it, essentially, but, just the influence and the demons that come with that drug, kind of took over. So I'm glad I kicked that. So today I'm glad to say I'm 4 years sober, and it's been quite a journey.
Yeah. And how are you doing now mentally, emotionally, drug and alcohol wise? I mean, just all across the board in terms of your functioning. How are you doing now?
Doing well. Doing very well, actually. I'm proud of myself. I've never been one that was really too big on addiction. So, like I used to do things out of boredom. But then I woke up and realized that, I was sleeping next to my drug of choice. And it's like, damn, bro, you got a problem. So now I have that understanding and that peace within myself. And plus, I'm doing it for my kids as well. Every time I think about, either relapsing or anything of that nature, it's an impossibility for me because I just want to see my kids.
Yeah. So how many children do you have?
Quite a bit, but 4 that I know of.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to see them. So.
How old are your children?
My kids are 2. One is 5. One is actually 11, and the oldest is like 16 to 18.
Okay, 16 or 18.
Yeah, 1 of the 2.
You're not sure? Not
sure until I get in front of their faces. I've been like I said, I was a mess for a while, man.
What's your 2-year-old's name?
The 2-year-old's name, actually Shyler.
And is that a girl or a boy?
That's a little girl.
What's your 5-year-old's name?
Orlando Jr., actually.
What's the 11-year-old's name?
My 11-year-old's name. I gotta figure that one out. But if I had to name him anything, it'd be John.
What do you mean if you had to name him? He doesn't have a name?
I haven't met all my children yet. I only seen Mason when he was little. But as far as the little girls and everything, I haven't met them yet.
Yeah. What's the 16-year-old's name?
Don't even know that either.
Don't know the...
No, don't know the 16-year-old's name. That's what I'm intending on doing. Getting, back with the fam and figuring out, who everybody is and what everything is.
Yeah. What's your full name?
My full name is Orlando Brown, Prince Michael Jackson Jr., and that's AKA Blanket.
So what's Prince Michael Jackson Jr.?
Well, it's my nickname I gave to myself. Because, my father was Michael Jackson, great Michael Jackson. So.
Your father was Michael Jackson.
Coming up.
What were you arrested for?
That was trespassing on basically my own property.
You were trying to get into the place when it was locked, and so the police...
Yeah, basically. But they dropped it. They dropped everything and dismissed the whole case.
Dr. Phil's exclusive interview continues.
So what's Prince Michael Jackson Jr.?
Well, it's my nickname I gave to myself. Because, my father was Michael Jackson, great Michael Jackson. So.
Your father was Michael Jackson?
Mm-hmm.
How do you know he's your father?
Well, you hear through the grapevine. But aside from that, it's the characteristics of a person. I used to always wonder why I'm so astronomically blessed and gifted when it comes to being talented. I rap, sing, and I do everything immaculately. The eyes, and also just speaking to different Jackson family members that, have confirmed it. So, it's just it's a blessing to know that I can sit here today and say that, that Michael Jackson was my father.
But the reason you say he's your father is because he was very talented and you're very talented?
No. Based off of, actually, like I said, actual family members letting me know and telling me, and also my mother. Your
family members have told you?
Mm-hmm.
His family members or your family members?
His and mine.
Because I know a lot of his family members.
Yeah, well, they call me Michael Jackson Jr. So, aside from that, that's all the confirmation in the world. When you ask, after the first time you hear it, you're like, why are you calling me that? And they telling you, like, yeah, boy, that's your daddy. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Tell me about Neverland.
Well, I've never been. I know my father would have wanted me to have it. He left it for me, so that's just something that's very awesome to me.
Did you know Michael Jackson?
No. I understood he liked to hide and wear disguises, so it could have been possible I was talking to him and didn't even know it. But at the end of the day, can I actually say I met my father? No, I have not.
I've read a lot of stuff about you back from when you were doing the Raven Show and Coach Eddie, and you never said your father was Michael Jackson.
Yeah, because, you know, some things you gotta be ready for. And I don't think I could have handled it back then knowing that. Or even sharing that with anybody, but at the end of the day, you know, my job is to make sure the legacy lives on.
I was talking to Solomon. He told me that you told him that Will Smith was your dad.
No, that's a false statement.
You didn't tell him that?
Why would I tell him that?
I don't know. He just said you were in the car one day and told him Will Smith was your dad.
Nah, that's not how that goes.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's not how that goes. And all 488 million of my friends do know I don't fabricate or lie. I'm pretty straight up guy. So
yeah, you've been arrested some.
Mm-hmm.
That you've had some conflict with the law. True.
Mm-hmm.
What were you arrested for?
Oh man, recently. That was trespassing on basically my own property.
Trespassing on your own property?
Yeah, well, I own a restaurant with my parents. So, you know, I guess.
What's the name of the restaurant?
It's called Legends on the Strip. Yeah, it's beautiful.
So you own it with your parents, so it's part yours?
Yeah, but it's more theirs because I gotta be on the road all the time and stuff like that. I just like to come in there and act like the boss every once in a Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah. You say you own it with your parents. I thought you said your father was Michael Jackson.
No, it was. Meaning, you know, he was deceased, so therefore this guy's been a tremendous father figure in my life. You know, so I really can't complain about that. You know, without him being in my life, then it would be nothing, pretty much. But
so he's not really your parent.
Yeah, right. He's just like a father figure, definitely.
Now, you were trying to get into the place when it was locked, and so the police came.
Yeah, basically. The police were called, but they dropped it. They dropped everything and dismissed the whole case.
Yeah.
All my cases, for that matter. Before that, it was weed. Then I got into an argument with my girlfriend, but they tried to pin a domestic on me.
Well, Solomon was telling me that throughout your career that people were really so impressed with your talent and how creative you were. And then when you started drinking and doing drugs, you burned a lot of bridges, and that people have turned their backs on you.
Coming up.
I'm curious about a couple things I want to ask you about.
And later.
Without your help, Dr. Phil, there's not a doubt in my mind, in my body, in my soul that he was going to be in the streets. He was going to end up dead. He wouldn't have never had a chance.
We now return to Dr. Phil's exclusive interview.
Solomon was telling me that throughout your career that people were really so impressed with your talent and how creative you were. And then when you started drinking and doing drugs and all, that you burned a lot of bridges and that people have turned their backs on you.
I'm not here to talk about what Solomon said, but what I'm here to talk about is the positive, you know what I mean? Like,
well, I'm asking you about what he said because I am here to talk about it.
I don't know what he's talking about, but as far as I don't have any enemies, like I told you, you know, but there are messy people that like to say things to shake people up, but, you know, like, I'm not here for gossip. You know, I'm here to make sure that you're all right and you're okay, and we both get back to work the best way we can possible.
Well, that's what I'm interested in, is you getting back to your career and being healthy and happy. And I'm curious about a couple things I want to ask you about. Solomon brought you here today and told me that he wants me to help you.
I was not really worried about Solomon. I'm more worried about the verbal abuse and a whole bunch of stuff that, you know, he has to get off his chest. But I do feel embarrassed that he would even try to go that low. So, you know.
What's low?
Low is to get here and then all of a sudden say something negative to you, knowing there's no problems.
Well, he didn't say anything negative to me.
Well, that's how I took it.
Forget him. Let me ask you. I've been doing this for 45 years. So I'm a pretty good judge of whether people are functioning at their peak efficiency or if they're functioning at less than their peak efficiency. And I'm curious if you think you need some help getting yourself sorted out so you can get back to your career.
It's like watching the company you keep is a big thing. But when you're pushed to not have to, you know, basically like watch the company you keep, meaning if you have people that know who you are before you, it becomes a problem. That's been my problem. So right now, I need help with is me basically having my home, my kids, and my wife. That's all I need. And like I mentioned earlier, 4 years sober, I don't think I need the help. I think that some people on the outside need to grow up. And they need to really take responsibility for what they've done in their lives and stop trying to hide between other people's masks.
Here's what I'm thinking. When you've been arrested and put in jail and encountered conflict with authority and all, have you ever been diagnosed with a mental illness or put on medication?
I have medication because I was forcefully taken to one of the mental institutions. Before that, I was in the ER, and before that, I was in a rehab. Before that, I was in jail.
Medication help you?
It stops you from talking. So no, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It makes you sound.
Yeah, it sometimes can be too much.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I find that when I have panic attacks or something like that, it helps out there. But I'm rarely having panic attacks now because everything's coming together in my life. So.
Let me tell you what I think. Can I tell you what I think?
Coming up.
I think you're making a big mistake by not hearing me, because I think what you're going to do is you're going to go back out there, you're going to wind up being homeless, arrested, and in trouble again.
Tuesday on Dr. Phil.
I am 1,000% certain that I am pregnant.
You say there are 6 babies.
I am getting 6 heartbeats.
And you're how far along?
I'm 3 years, 7 months.
Medical miracle?
The ultrasound shows an empty uterus.
But I have more than one uterus.
Or all in her head.
There it is. Bam, bam.
You examined Zona, correct?
I did.
Were there multiple uterus?
That's Tuesday. We now return to Dr. Phil's exclusive interview.
Let me tell you what I think. I think you're a really nice guy, and I don't have any trouble understanding why you've been so successful, because you're really charming, and you clearly have that ability to pop off the screen and get people's attention. I think sometimes life can really get us kind of balled up, and you say you've been 4 years clean and sober, but there are long-term effects when we do crystal meth and things that can really affect the neurotransmitters in our brain. And whenever we do certain drugs, it can connect half a thought with another half a thought, so it can get pretty confusing. And I think there's a real good chance that what you've been through has caused you to have some neurological disruption.
Well, no, not necessarily. Me personally, not to cut you off, me personally, it's not about, saying F it or anything.
It's very clear to me that some of your thinking is confused. And I think that you need some treatment for that will unravel that And I think in a very short time, you can get back to being the Orlando that has been so successful in your life. And I know that even with some of that confusing and racing thoughts, that somewhere in there, you know what I'm saying is right. And somewhere in there, you know that I'm offering to help you, and you should take that help.
I'm 4 years sober for a reason. I just now got out of rehab. I just now got out of ER. I'm not doing no more time away from my kids other than I need to. I appreciate that, but me being free after being locked behind bars for no reason and being set up, I can't dedicate another 90 days of being monitored all my life. I don't need that crap like other people. It's a slap in the face to people that actually need it.
So you want to get back to your kids?
Yeah, it's like, I want my kids to be with me at Neverland. I just don't want to.
And how old are your kids?
I got a 2-year-old, 2-year-old, 5-year-old. I think it's 8 and 11.
All right. Now, and what's the 2-year-old's name?
2-year-old, still in the belly. Still in the belly. We don't know yet.
Okay. And what's the 5-year-old's name?
That's Mason.
And the 11-year-old?
Shyler.
Okay. Can I show you something?
Yeah.
I asked you before if you had kids. You said, yes, I have 4.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, what are their ages? You said 2, 5, 11, and 16.
Mm-hmm.
I said, what's the 2-year-old's name? You said Shyler.
Okay.
The 5-year-old is Mason.
Right.
The 11-year-old is John.
Right.
16-year-old, I don't know. I got to find out.
Right.
I asked you this time, you said the 2-year-old don't know the name because it's still in the belly.
That's because I have a baby on the way as well. I just mentioned that.
So the 2-year-old is still in the belly, so that means that child has been in there for 2 years.
Not necessarily.
And then you said the 5-year-old is Mason. Then you said there's an 8-year-old. Up here you didn't say there was an 8-year-old. Down here you said there's an 11-year-old. And you didn't mention a 16-year-old.
Did you not hear me say before you started this whole conversation about my kids? What I said was, I have a lot of kids, but I'll say I'll have 4 right now. That's exactly what I said. So me, as a father, still trying to jump back into that life and figure out who everybody is. You can't ridicule me for not knowing exactly.
I'm not ridiculing you.
All right, well, yeah, because I mean, of course I'm going to make a mistake if I haven't seen my kids. They were taken from me.
But how long has it been since you've seen these kids?
Bro, honestly, I see my kids everywhere. But at the end of the day, like I said, I barely see them. I don't know them. They don't know me. That's what this whole thing is about. Being able to identify and, get back with my kids and stuff.
I'm not showing you this to make you feel bad about not being around your kids. I made the point that right now, you're an extremely intelligent guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, but you're confused in your thinking. And as evidence that you're confused in your thinking, 30 minutes apart, you are confused about names and dates of children.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to put that together. That's what I'm supposed to be here for.
I came here today to offer you some help. I think it is in the form of a mental illness that can be dealt with very handily. I've offered you that, and you have rejected my offer. And I respect that, respect your right to do that.
You're awesome.
And I think you're making a big mistake by not hearing me and not doing what I'm recommending, because I think what you're going to do is you're going to go back out there and you're going to wind up being homeless and arrested and in trouble again, when alternatively, you could get yourself straightened out. I think you got a great life ahead of you if you'll just claim it. I think you're going to be the star you were.
Yeah, be a star just like my dad. Michael was the biggest star in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've arranged some help for you locally if you want it, and it's there for you. Dr. Kaligi is the director of it, and he's agreed to help you. And I'll introduce him to you just so you know him if you ever want to talk to him. Hey, Doc.
How you doing, sir?
How are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you.
How are you?
Good.
Good to meet you.
Good to meet you, too.
Dr. Kaligi is the director at Creative Care in Malibu, and you guys could help him immensely, don't you think?
Absolutely. We can certainly do some evaluation, do some testing,
get you on the right track. It's a beautiful
Yeah, that sounds
place.
cool, but I don't have the time right now. Yeah, I really wish I did have the time. Like, I've been going through treatments and a lot of group sessions and all this stuff unnecessarily in the first place, but I refuse to let myself believe that, you know, that I have a problem. If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, Solomon, come on in. Have Solomon come in. Hey, come in.
So
here, you can have my chair. I'll sit next to you here. I was just saying to Orlando that Dr. Kaligi here is here, that could take him out to this beautiful place in Malibu and help him out, give him a great place to stay and work on himself while he's there. And he says he doesn't have time. I asked him where he's going to go when he leaves here. Do you know?
I think that is the best thing, bro. I think that before we do anything else, I think it's imperative that we do it.
Well, like I said, I got a lot of girlfriends, so...
What if I go with you?
Bro, you tripping right now. Anyways, yeah, thank you, sir. I really appreciate it.
Okay.
All right.
If I can help you at some time, you let me know.
All right, you got it.
Coming up.
I don't need nothing right now for people to back me up. I didn't come out here to go to Malibu, man. I'm sorry, it's not gonna happen.
We now return to Dr. Phil's exclusive interview.
So, I'm in Malibu, the place he was just talking about.
I'm not going to that place.
Do you want to take a ride and just see it?
No, I don't.
Sure?
I was stuck in my face.
So what about if I tell you that we'll take you to Malibu and we'll help you to get all these things?
Okay, well, I'm telling you, I'm not finna do that. I'm not doing that. I just did that. I'm 4 years sober. I don't need nothing right now for people to back me up. All I'm trying to do is...
You know what I think you need? I think you need a break. I think you need a break.
No. I think, honestly, I just need... I had a break. Honestly, I need people to stop nagging me about what they think I should do. Man, look, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I respect everything that y'all trying to do, but y'all trying to put me in a position to where I cannot use my phone. I cannot do anything for another 30 days, and I need to get to work. My emails are backed up, all that. I've done everything that everybody has asked me to do. This time, I'm not doing that because I'm ready, and I feel like I'm getting picked on and bullied on because I know what's going on.
It's not jail. We want you to work.
Bruh,
That's our whole goal.
I'm the one that said fame. I'm not begging to get back into Hollywood. That part, I'm not begging for my kids and what's rightfully mine.
So let us help you get that.
What do you mean help me?
We'll help you.
Okay, well, that's cool. But other than that, I should not have to go nowhere but a corporate housing.
Well, guess what? Malibu and the
I'm not going to Malibu. I'm not going to Malibu.
It's probably nicer than any.
I didn't come out here to go to Malibu. I didn't come out here to go to Malibu, man. I'm sorry, it's not gonna happen.
What he's saying is making a lot of sense to me. He's been in and out of programs that seem to all promise him a bright future, and it hasn't worked. He's been in situations where people want things from him, and that's what a lot of people with his kind of success have in their life. But I think that, you know, we've come to an understanding, at least between the two of us, that Dr. Phil and Creative Care don't have anything that we want from you. They work with a lot of creative artists. They use music in their program.
Well, you have another one right here.
Well, I know. And that's the hardest part, is to see that great deal of potential that he's talking about, going and staying at a girlfriend's house or something. Man, you ought to be someplace that's your own, using your talents and skills for gain in your own life with some stability, where you can take that on and use this opportunity as a launching pad to continue in your pursuits in a way that feels good to you.
Young guy at Premiere, honestly,
Okay. Well, what's that mean, Orlando?
It means whatever, bro.
Yeah, he's in.
Coming up.
Without your help, Dr. Phil, there's not a doubt in my mind, in my body, in my soul that he was going to be in the streets. He was going to end up dead. He wouldn't have never had a chance. I think that we're going to be heading out to Malibu, and he's going to get the treatment that he needs. I feel really relieved because, first of all, if he didn't do this, I was gonna have to leave him somewhere. I don't know where, but he was gonna end up somewhere. He was gonna be on YouTube, TMZ, he might have got arrested doing something stupid. At least he has a chance. He has a fighting chance. He just has to do the right thing. He has to have the right care. Without your help, Dr. Phil, there's not a doubt in my mind, in my body, in my soul that he was gonna be in the streets. He was gonna end up dead. He wouldn't have never had a chance, that's for sure. Right now, at least he has a chance. He has a fighting chance. He can make a comeback. He can do whatever he wants right now because he has the opportunity. The world sees what he's going through. The world loves him. And that's all because of you. Hope that he's going to be okay.
Well, the good news is Orlando did accept our offer of treatment and has been at a dual diagnosis facility here in California since the conclusion of this interview. Now, Orlando has been committed to treatment and has made great strides. Now, look, this is just the beginning of his long road to recovery, but so far, he has proved that he is willing to do the work. His ultimate success clearly will be up to him, and we wish him nothing but the best and are so proud of the work that he has done so far. Now, if you know someone who is struggling with drug or alcohol addiction or is wrestling with a mental illness, go to drphil.com for more information because you have to reach out for help in these matters. Thanks for watching. All right. Thanks.
On an all-new Dr. Phil.
Chris Watts killed his wife and children.
He annihilated his family.
He had to break their bones to get them in this hole.
Then lied to the world.
What are ways that you can make someone disappear? That's a hard question to answer.
He laughs. He thinks he's the smartest person in the room.
It's a deep dive.
It was an oh my God moment
that only Dr. Phil can do.
The scariest part is a narcissist thinks he can get away with it. It was an unthinkable crime that left people asking, Dr. Phil, who does this kind of thing? Chris Watts, a handsome and seemingly doting husband and father, seemed to have it all. He and his wife, Shanann, had 2 beautiful daughters and a son on the way. Then, in the early morning hours of August 13th, Shanann and the children mysteriously disappeared. Chris went on TV and begged for his family's safe return. But oddly, he didn't shed one single tear. And then in a disturbing twist, Chris Watts is arrested, charged with their murders, and even more horrifyingly confesses to disposing of their bodies in a heartless and shocking manner. So what kind of man would do such a thing? Well, behind the smiles of this picture-perfect family were dark secrets that led to murder, and we're going to talk about how you can see those things coming. We're going to talk about it now. Take a look.
A dark mystery in Frederick, Colorado.
Concern in Frederick right now about a pregnant woman who's missing along with her 2 daughters.
With a grieving father and husband left behind in a very empty house.
I have no inclination of where they're at right now. When I got home yesterday, it was like a ghost town. She wasn't here. Kids weren't here. I have no idea where they went.
But in a video confession days later, Watts told his father he murdered Shanann in a fit of rage, claiming she killed their children.
The husband of a missing pregnant woman is in jail and now charged with her murder.
The day Watts killed his family, he called his daughter's school to say they would no longer be attending, and he also contacted a real estate agent about selling his home.
The innocent laughter of children is gone.
Mommy has a baby in her belly.
And the story of a once growing family ended.
We have 2 kids. We live in Colorado, and he's the best thing that has ever
ever happened to me.
Despite portraying a happy family on social media, text messages between Shannon and Watts in the weeks leading up to the murders showed a fractured relationship. Prosecutors say Watts killed his family because of an affair he was having with a co-worker, Nicole Kessinger. In a recorded interview with police the day Shannon and the girls were found dead, Kessinger appeared distraught.
Oh, sad, and she's pregnant. God, and they're so cute. They're so little.
Now the question remains, where are their bodies?
Now, Chris Watts, who everyone described as calm, loving, and sweet, had murdered his children and wife in cold blood.
He allegedly told investigators where to find their bodies on a property owned by the company he worked for.
If the senseless deaths of their loved ones weren't enough, the discovery of their bodies was gut-wrenching. Shannon's body was found in a shallow grave near the girls' bodies, submerged for days in storage tanks filled with crude oil.
Christopher Watts has been charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder and 3 counts of tampering with evidence.
His motive was simple, Your Honor. He had a desire for a fresh start. Get a divorce. You don't annihilate your family and throw them away like garbage.
Court sentenced murderer Chris Watts to life in prison for killing his pregnant wife and daughters.
I trusted you to take care of them, not kill them. And they also trusted you.
Thank you, God, for everything.
You heartless monster. Prison is too good for you.
Now, I'm here with my really good friend, Nancy Grace. She is an American legal commentator and television journalist, as well as founder of Crime Online. So, Nancy, welcome. Please welcome Nancy Grace. Nancy, when you saw this case, I mean, what was it about this that you think captured the nation's attention?
While Chris Watts, is trying to figure out how he's going to get with his lover. I mean, his wife was only gone a couple of weeks to see her family, and bam, everything was over in those few weeks. She was out buying self-help books. And just thinking of her, you know, in the bookstore looking for self-help books, how can I improve myself? And the whole time your husband is plotting your murder.
One of the things that I've noticed, and, you know, I've been involved in forensic psychology I did a postdoctoral fellowship in forensic psychology immediately when I graduated. So I've been doing this for 40 plus years, and you see certain characteristics and traits in these people, and he started making really dumb mistakes really early, which narcissistic people often do because they see things only from their point of view. Now, before I play the interview, I want you to watch for some of the signs that we look for when you're doing a behavioral analysis, when you're looking at the psychology of a criminal. He doesn't refer to his family in any kind of intimate way. He doesn't use their names. It's called distancing. He uses pronouns like they and those kids. He only says their names one time. He says Shanann once, he says Bella once, and when he says Bella, he talks about her in the past tense, like she is already dead. And then I also want you to look at his physical distancing. He's in closed body position, and he's rocking back and forth in a self-soothing sort of way.
And he keeps getting further and further from the questions.
And watch him licking his lips. And the fact of the matter is, psychologically, he's trying to wipe away everything he's saying. Take a look.
Wherever they're at, like, I have no inclination to where they're at right now. Like, I've exhausted, like, every friend that I know of, and every friend that I have has called friends that Shanann has that maybe I didn't know about. And it's just like, it's vanished. Like, she's not, like, when I got home yesterday, it was like a ghost town. Like, she wasn't here. Kids weren't here. Like, I have no idea, like, where they went. And it's just earth-shattering. I don't feel like this is even real right now. It's like a nightmare that I just can't wake up from. Bella was going to start kindergarten next Monday, and they were just getting ready to start back again. I'm just hoping right now that she's somewhere safe and maybe she's there. But right now it's just like, if she's vanished, like, I want her back so bad. I want those kids back so bad. There's no cameras in the backyard or anything like that, so it's really hard to even suspect anything right now as far as how she could have left, or if someone came picked her up, or somebody took her. I've never seen something like this in my lifetime unless it was on TV or a movie, and this doesn't seem real at all. It just seems like I'm living in a nightmare, and I can't get out of it. I just want them home so bad.
When I saw that interview, I said, we're looking at a killer right here. These are signals like a Navy flag man waving around what's going on. All right, now coming up, after Shanann Watts and her children were reported missing, police went to search the house and talk to her husband, Chris. They videotaped the whole thing. We're going to show you that video and tell you why police may have already thought he was the main suspect. We'll be right back.
Did you tell your mother-in-law that she went to a friend's today?
So I went to a friend's house, so that's all I knew.
Who was she supposed to go to?
That's all she told me. Said she's going to a friend's house to take the kids.
And later,
research on psychopaths, and that's a clinical term. It's easy for these people to kill other people because they don't feel stressed. It's a DNA thing.
New video obtained shows the moments after Chris Watts murdered his pregnant wife and 2 young daughters. It comes from a neighbor's security camera. It shows Watts walk out of his home in Frederick, then backs his truck up in the driveway, parking it so a portion of the bed is in the garage. It also shows Watts walking around his truck and putting items inside, including a red gasoline can. Then Watts drives away from his home.
Today we're going to take you inside the mind of a killer, inside the mind of Chris Watts, who you just saw on surveillance calmly loading up his truck before driving off with the bodies of his dead family in the back. Now, who would commit such a heinous act? Well, we've called in experts who have dealt with hundreds of cases involving sociopaths, but they say none even come close to Chris Watts. Take a look.
The Chris Watts case is one of the most disturbing cases that I've ever seen.
Chris Watts is what we call a family annihilator. I haven't seen many cases like this because family annihilators usually commit suicide after the murders. Chris didn't do that. Chris is also a narcissist. He is the most important person in his world. And he's also a psychopath. And a narcissistic psychopath is a really bad combo.
How he just decided to erase his family. He threw him in the back of his pickup truck, drove him, and threw his daughters into an oil bin, buried his wife in a shallow grave.
Chris, like most killers, is not terribly bright, which is why he was caught so fast.
Who was she supposed to go to?
That's all she told me.
When I saw Chris being interviewed, I said, wow.
When I got home yesterday, it was like a ghost town. Like, she wasn't here. Kids weren't here.
This guy just gave away the farm. When he hugged himself and the shrugs, that's defensive. He pretty much just confessed to murdering his wife and children. I know that Dr. Phil has a background in criminal psychology, and I'd be very interested to see what he thinks.
Well, Candace DeLong is someone that I have tremendous respect for. She is a former FBI criminal profiler and criminologist. She also is the host of Investigation Discovery's Deadly Women. Now, Steve Cardian is a former detective and author of a really important book that teaches women how to protect themselves. It's the new superpower for women. Candace, let me start with you. You saw this tape. You've seen some of his interviews. What did you see?
The interview he gave to the TV people on his porch, they did a close-in shot. His eyes were neither red nor swollen. This was not a man that had been up all night, worried and crying. Another thing that occurred to me, he says, yeah, when I came home, nobody was here. It was like a ghost town. It was a ghost town. He made it a ghost town by killing everyone else that lived there.
You bring up such an important point. Let's take a quick look at that little snippet.
It's like it's vanished. Like she's not. Like when I got home yesterday, it was like a ghost town. Like she wasn't here. Kids weren't here. Like, I have no idea like where they went.
This is a guy with 2 children and a pregnant wife, vanished. And he, like you say, there's no redness in his eyes. That is such a good point. He doesn't look like he is emoted at all.
Yeah, well, it's what I don't see that tells me something's wrong here.
I didn't see a wedding band. Has he already gotten rid of that?
Oh, I didn't look.
He also gave smiles and laughter that was completely improper when he was talking about Bella. He says, she was. That's final. As an investigator, that jumps out to me as he knows that she's already gone.
And people that are narcissistic and think they're getting away with something, it's called duping delight. They can't help but gloat when they think they're pulling the wool over your eyes.
He was celebrating his performance.
Yeah, and so let's take a look at this oil tank where the bodies were discovered. This is where he put his children.
Dr. Phil, I gotta tell you
feeder
something.
trap is 8 inches wide. The width of those girls, shoulder to shoulder, is 9.5 inches. Now, I don't want to say this to be too graphic, but you have to understand the nature of the beast we're talking about here. He had to break their bones to get them in there.
And when they tried to lift the girls up, their skin came off. They called it, doctors always have nice words for things. They called it degloving because he left them there.
So when you say, Dr. Phil, who does this? Who does this is a malignant, narcissist psychopath. That's what makes these people so dangerous. Coming up, after his family vanished, Chris Watts wasn't acting like a grieving husband, as we say. He certainly wasn't acting like a grieving father. Now we know the man begging for his wife and daughters to come home had killed them all. We're going to look for more hidden clues in his interviews next and talk more about what pathology lies inside this individual. And we're going to talk about the fact that these predators are walking among us. We'll be right back. His neighbors had cameras, and he's there seeing this footage for the first time.
It was definitely an oh my God moment. There was no doubt.
And later, what's happening in that room at that point from the police point of view?
He says, I don't know what else I can tell you. They, boom, in their mind, we got him.
My daddy is a hero. He helps me grow up strong. My daddy, I love you.
That was 4-year-old Bella Watts singing about her daddy, her hero, just weeks before he murdered her. Let's take a look at Chris Watts talking to the police. Watch carefully at his behavior.
How long have you guys been married? So, been together 8 years, married 6 this year. Yeah. And this is very unusual behavior.
What's this door right here go to? Locked. Do you have a key for it?
Locked. Get here and just play it back. Yeah. So you normally keep it locked? Yeah, because they would go in there, they'd be in the soap. Like last time we had Vaseline everywhere, so that was not fun. So does she normally make the beds, the kids' beds? No.
Did you tell your mother-in-law that she went to a friend's today?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What friend?
So went to a friend's house, so that's all I knew.
Who was she supposed to go to?
That's all she told me. She said she's going to a friend's house to take the kids.
When did she tell you that?
This morning, when we talked about 4 or 5 o'clock. I'm going to try to run some things down using her phone and then see if we can't find somebody. If nobody has heard anything at all, then we'll probably pull the trigger on this. Go that route.
Susan Constantine is a renowned body language expert. What do you see?
Well, first of all, his emotions are detached. When somebody is concerned about someone that's missing, you're going to see pain or suffering in their forehead, this wrinkling up, the concern. When we see him pacing back and forth, that's internal anxiety. So it's a self-soothing gesture too. The ones where he's holding his hand like this, other moments he's holding his head, and that is showing that he's concerned, but it's also panic. There's lots of emotions that are flowing, so whatever we're thinking and feeling is being exhibited through our nonverbal communication.
Well, let's look at him watching some surveillance video. This is at his neighbor's house. His neighbors had cameras, and so they caught him on camera backing his truck into the garage where he loaded the bodies in, and he's there seeing this footage for the first time. Watch this.
517. We parked out there on the side. I just want to get everything back in. Be easier, so lugging everything out there, all the tools that I had to bring in.
Do you think this may be the first time that he thinks, holy I'm caught?
It was definitely an oh my God moment. There was no doubt. So when he was first looking at the video, it didn't hit because he didn't know that what he was about to see. The minute he saw that, oh my God, that's when his hands came up. He started to pace. And if you look at it close, his flushing.
He turns his back to it. He doesn't want to look at it.
He can't. He can't look at it because it's one of those oh my God moments. He almost has to deflect from it.
Well, after Chris left, the police spoke to his neighbor alone.
All right. Appreciate your time.
Thanks. Hopefully comes up here. Yeah.
No.
Never rocking back and forth, and if you look, he never breaks his stuff in and out of the garage ever.
Right.
But watch, you'll see him get out, and he walks back and forth a couple times. To be completely honest with you, my wife and I were kind of wondering when she was on vacation if something happened, because I've heard them full out screaming at each other at the top of their lungs, and he gets crazy.
Does he? That's pretty recently?
Yeah. Well, that's why she went and visited people, because she wanted to get away from the situation.
Coming up next, inside the room where Chris Watts was interrogated for more than 6 hours, you won't believe the reason he laughs when he's being questioned about killing his wife and his children, plus what his mistress told police. That's next.
What are ways, because I need to make sure that you know what I'm talking about, what are ways that you can make someone disappear?
It's a hard question to answer.
The defendant coldly and deliberately ended 4 lives. Not in a fit of rage, not by way of accident, but in a calculated and sickening manner. What must Bella, age 4, and Celeste, age 3, must have experienced or thought is their father, the one man on this planet who was supposed to nurture and protect them, was snuffing out their lives. The man seated to my right smothered his daughters.
The heinous murders of Shanann Watts and her young daughters Bella and Celeste has people asking what kind of father could be such a monster that he not only kills his pregnant wife, but his 2 beautiful little girls? Well, the answer is someone with a narcissistic personality disorder. The scariest part is a narcissist actually thinks he can get away with it. And they get caught so easily because they don't look at the other points of view. Take a look at this video of Chris being interrogated and pay attention to the very end.
What are ways, because I need to make sure that you know what I'm talking about, what are ways that you can make someone disappear?
I mean, it's like, it's hard.
And I know this stuff.
It's a hard question to answer.
Right.
Because it had nothing to do with this disappearance.
Right.
So
Yeah. Now, he laughs and he smiles because he's, at this point, he still thinks he's the smartest person in the room, right?
Yeah.
He still believes he's the smartest person in the room.
They always do. Research on psychopaths, and that's a clinical term, and the hallmark is that they don't feel guilt, remorse, or empathy. It's easy for these people to kill other people because they don't feel stress. There's been research on psychopaths that oftentimes their pulse doesn't even increase when they're committing a crime. Or lying on a lie detector test. They don't get nervous like the rest of us do. It's a DNA thing.
There is a difference between the irresistible impulse and the impulse not resisted. Now think about that. There is an irresistible impulse where something happens and you just don't have the ability to resist. You know, a crime of passion or something where you're blackout rage, you're just so incensed you cannot control yourself, versus the impulse you choose not to resist. And there's every indication that this was a premeditated crime. He did not snap.
No, he did
right?
not snap.
You don't believe he snapped?
Absolutely not. Snapping is when sudden emotion and shock happens. You walk in the door of your home, you go in the bedroom and your spouse is with your sister or something like that, and you just lose it and you might pick up a lamp and throw it. That is snapping. Snapping is not premeditatedly taking the lives of 3 people. As soon as he had his hands around his the first child that he killed first, he could have said, no, this is not right. I've got to find another way. He killed her and then did it again to the other child,
right,
as only a psychopath could.
Chris was having a secret affair with a coworker.
I don't know how much he banked on those 2 running off together, because he was seeing other women as well behind Shanann's back.
A grieving family confronts the man who killed their pregnant daughter and their grandchildren.
How dare you take the lives of my daughter, Shannon, Bella, Celeste, and Nico?
I want the world to know that our daughter and her children were so loved by us.
So you ask, why not just divorce this person? Right? If you want out so bad, why not just divorce? Understand, a narcissist wants to be the center of attention. The narcissist has all kinds of currency. So what happens if he divorces? He still has financial burdens. They had taken bankruptcy once before. They were in debt again. They were 3 payments behind on their mortgage. They were $8,000 in credit card debt. They were totally drowning. And they had another baby on the way when they already were in debt. But if you murder the family, you make money because there's $20,000 life insurance policies on the 2 children and a $50,000 life insurance policy on her. So you go $90,000 to the good, and more importantly, you become the object of sympathy. The police discovered that while his wife and children were away, Chris was having a secret affair with a coworker named Nicole Kessinger. They talked to her. Take a look.
I think a lot of people are going to probably assume that I was the catalyst for his movement, but I don't think, not me instructing him, but him deciding to do that because he had me in his life and because he was so infatuated with what we had going on. But I try to put the reason to it at the end, why would you wipe out your family to be with me? It doesn't compute. It's how would that go? Hey, my family just disappeared, and you think that I'm gonna just not be concerned about that?
Okay, and by the way, take a look at that picture of her and his wife. Do you notice they look an awful lot alike?
Dr. Phil, though, hold on a moment. Nicole Kessinger should not feel that special, okay? because he was meeting people on Tinder. You know, I don't know how much he banked on those two running off together, because he was seeing other women as well behind Shanann's back.
Yeah, if they'll do it with you, they'll do it to you.
True.
Let's look at this Tinder tape.
And we just like met at the parking lot at Chick-fil-A. I don't know, it sounds funny. And I got something to drink, and then we just went back to my house, and he was rough, as in, you know, just pulling my hair and putting his arms around my neck. It was like a rape fantasy thing. That's how I, you know, like, describe it. So really, like, you know, I mean, I just remember thinking, like, what the when he left.
And again, we're showing him impulse, no impulse control, immediate gratification, and no sense of how this is going to play once your family disappears. What are you going to tell your girlfriend? All right, next, the telling text Shanann sent her friend before she was killed. We'll take a look at that when we come back.
We did it again. I like that shirt. That's awesome. Guess when you want to, it happens.
I want to take a look at where he is told that he failed a polygraph. And, you know, Steve, you've been in that room. I want you to comment on this after we look at it.
Do you know where Shanann is now?
No.
Did you physically cause Shanann's disappearance?
No.
Are you lying about the last time you saw Shanann?
No.
Do we want to talk to you about the results, okay?
Sure.
So, it is completely clear that you were not honest during the testing, and I think you already know that. You did not pass the polygraph test.
Okay.
Okay? So now we need to talk about what actually happened. I feel like you're probably ready to do that.
I didn't lie to you on that polygraph, I promise. Chris, I'm not stop. It's time. Just stop for a minute. Take a deep breath. Everything that I told you, I did not lie on this polygraph. I don't know how much I could tell you right now. Like, I did not.
It's not even an option right now, because you did not pass the polygraph. So I know you were being deceptive. So that's not even an issue right now. The issue right now is what happened to Shanann, Bella, and Celeste. That's the issue right now.
If we bring in your dad, will you promise me you'll talk to him? Would it be easier if you told him than you told us? I don't know. She heard him? Yeah. And well, no, not her. You heard her. So she started hurting again. Well, you guys want to know? She's smothered. I choked them. When I was downstairs, they came back up. They were gone. I don't know, like we talked to her about separation and everything about and she lost. I don't know, like, what else to say. Like, I freaked out. I was in my kid.
That's chilling. What's happening in that room at that point from the police point of view?
When he says okay, it's not something an innocent person. He's confirming that he failed the lie detector test. And then he says, I don't know what else or what I can tell you. Boom, in their mind, we got him.
What was the moment? What was the first identifiable moment or behavior that indicated that this was going to happen? He didn't want a third baby. He was afraid. He couldn't financially afford that. He wanted to separate, and his wife was not going along with that. And he really fancied himself as a new man. Look how much weight he had lost. He had really gotten himself in shape. He wanted to hit the reset button, and in his ignorant, immature way, he thought this was the way to go about it.
What motivated Chris to kill his family isn't even in the book of killing your family motivations.
Right.
I mean, it just he wanted freedom. He wanted, exactly as you described, to be free of the problems of daily marital life.
Now, Shanann sent a text to a friend and said, here's what I plan to say to him. I know that you need time. I want to give you what you're asking for and respect your space. It is not healthy for me or Nico. I need you to just give a little bit of what I did or didn't do. So I'm not going crazy. She's saying, tell me. In my head, to figure it out. I know I can't fix this by myself, that we are going to have to work together. And while she's planning this, he's planning her murder. We'll be right back. Candace, final comments about this. What do they need to know to understand and protect themselves?
Any man that's in a similar situation, don't be afraid to speak up. You know, I do not want another child, or we're spending too much money. The kids are not going to private school. Release some of the pressure from the marriage, and it might just get better. And from the woman's point of view, or for the wife's point of view, if your husband is under a lot of pressure and is pulling away from you, you need to be very vigilant. And if he is seeing another woman, that woman has his heart, and you are in trouble. Take precautions. Leave if you have to.
Nancy?
You know, Dr. Phil, I'm just so overcome with the sadness of this case. What I take away from this is the truth. This is what happened. And if you are in a relationship and you're the only one in it, and you're trying and trying and trying, if you've got a guy like Chris Watts, it's not going to get better. You need to leave and find your happiness.
Yes,
What do you think?
Yeah, and the other thing is that these type of people can be natural performers. They are very likable, they're very approachable, they can be very charismatic. And when you tap into things that you find fault with, they become unglued. So look for those signs. Do they have the appropriate emotion that fits what they're saying? If things are off, ladies and gentlemen, listen to that, because that's telling you it is off, and don't make excuses for it.
Steve, you're an enforcer here. You're a policeman here. You deal with these perpetrators. Tell these people how to protect.
Dr. Phil, it takes about 7 times in domestic issues before a woman will come forward and take action against her husband. So in this case with Watts, he had a great front stage. Look for those little things, those little subtle things behind the stage that are going to tell you that there's a problem. And it may be not be something you need to contact law enforcement for, but reach out to social services, reach out to a psychologist. And I just want to say that law enforcement did an excellent job. He was a horrible criminal, and thank God for that.
Yeah. Don't be in denial. I mean, if something doesn't feel right, acknowledge that to yourself. I'm not saying give up, but I'm saying also be aware in your mind and take precautions. My wife, Robin, is one of the foremost ambassadors in the fight against domestic violence. And she just returned from Capitol Hill, where she testified about this and some other issues with women about domestic violence. And she has something that she created called the Aspire app. And the Aspire app is an app that you put on your smartphone, and you can download it for free, and it looks like a news app. It just says news, and when you open it, sure enough, it gives you the news. But it actually is an alert, because you tap it 3 times, and it sends out a message to whoever you have pre-programmed it that says, I'm in trouble and I need help and I need it now.
That's right.
And this is a lifeline that saves lives, right?
That's right. And sometimes your abuser will take your phone away from you. So I always like to tell everyone, if you know that you have a friend, a coworker, or a family member being abused, and maybe they have had their phone taken away, do your best to sneak a phone to the victim and download that app. And there's always a way, find that way to get a phone to a victim so they have it, they can hide it, and that's their lifeline out of that situation. And especially if they have children, they're on that app. There is a page that tells shelters and other places to go when they are ready to get out. But also it says the safe way to exit a violent situation. So there's all kinds of information on there, very life-saving information. I'm very proud of the app. It was recognized on Capitol Hill as one of the top 2 apps at best educating the victims and everyone else on domestic violence. So I do hope that people will go to whengeorgiasmiled.org and download the app. It's free. And it will save lives. I'm very proud of that.
Yeah. And think about it ahead of time. If you know you're in a tough situation, make plans because you may need them. So I hope you understand more about what happened after today. Thank you so much, Candace, Nancy. Thank you, Steve. All of this has been so enlightening. I've learned a lot today. I hope you have as well. So I want to thank all of my guests today for their invaluable expertise. I want to remind you that this story is really about these victims. Little Celeste and Bella will never get to grow up, and Shanann will never get to welcome her baby son. And Chris Watts will spend the rest of his life behind bars paying for this heinous crime. May Shanann, Bella, Celeste, and her unborn son Nico rest in peace. For more information, go to drphil.com. Thanks for watching. See you guys back today. Thank you so much.